Okay, I called a meeting to order of the White Lake Library Board of Trustees at 6:51 p.m. Roll call
Rich McGlue, president.
here.
Jake Duda, vice president. Karen Lyons, secretary, treasurer, whatever I am, I'm a secretary here. Gwen Newton, treasurer. Jen Schultz.
Here.
And Beth Rubis.
Not here.
Not here. Okay.
And not excused you. She's coming late. She's coming late.
Oh, coming up.
So I will mark her in when she arrives.
Okay, so we'll look for the an approval of the agenda. You have the agenda in front of you. Any questions?
No, I motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We have an opportunity for public comment.
Is there any public online? No.
Okay, moving on, have review of the minutes. You have the minutes in front of you. They're long minutes.
Yes. I motion to approve the July 27th, 2022 regular meeting minutes for the White Lake Library Board of Trustees.
I'll second that motion.
Did you say I thought, did you say the June 22nd?
July 27th.
Sorry, 27th. I don't know why I heard that. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I didn't officially.
The ayes have it. Okay, on to officers' reports. I have no report this month. A vice president's report.
I would like to thank the voters of White Lake Township for voting the library village at the August primary.
Yes, right. And a big thank you.
Anything else, Jake?
That's all.
Okay, secretary's report.
None.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
I have a few things, if anybody has any questions, on the balance funds, the fund balance sheet, or any other expenditure, the accounts payable for this month, you can go through them if you like. Otherwise, I have a few other things that were left over from last month. And actually from the audit. So the auditor brought up that somebody was on the account as a, and they called it a responsible beneficiary in the audit. And so I went to the bank last month and it was Glenn Russo was listed as a responsible beneficiary for the account. So, and we asked if the lawyer could, the attorney could actually look at that as well. I went back to the bank and put it in writing and sent them, and you have a copy of the email, Rich and Jen and April. And I asked again, and so I read what he said 4 or 5 times and called him again, and he said, and he called somebody in the business office, he said, every business account must have a responsible person. And we had Glenn, and even though you had that file, we had Glenn Russo, and every time we change the signatures at the bank, we need to have, and it should be the treasurer, should be listed as the responsible beneficiary on behalf of the library. And he said it is a requirement from PNC.
The paperwork, so
I changed it that, and when I was there last month, I changed it to myself. So it should be correct. So it's correct today. Okay, so I verified like 3 times that that is exactly what they wanted from us. And I said, is there any way we can just have just the library? He says, no, you have to have a responsible party.
the paperwork that we signed in 2018, I think, it said the opposite of that, that having that one of the options was no responsible beneficiary.
Well, Rich, you and I could go in there together. I've talked to him 3 times now, and he keeps telling me we have to have that person. He said, in fact, you could, and you can read, I sent you the email. And this is what he says to me. Every business account has what we call a CDD form or certification regarding beneficiary owners or legal entity customers. Sounds complicated, but in essence, it's just confirming the business nature and a listing a controlling party, which in this case is Gwen. The most important thing with your business account is that we have all the contact and updated meeting minutes in our system. So if someone comes into act on the account, the teller can locate their name and signature.
Okay.
And it's called a CDD form, and I verified that with him again today. Okay, so, I understand what you're saying, you know, and like I said, I had to read that, what he said to me several times before I called him again, but he's confirming that they require it.
Okay.
So what he said though is, you know, I said, well, we didn't do that the last time. He says, every time you come in, if you change treasurer, you should have an updated form. So, for future knowledge, okay?
Okay.
And then, oh, and we'll go, so that's all I have for the treasurer's report, because I had said that I would take care of that.
Give something else. Do we pay those? Did I
Yes,
say I and not realize?
no,
what I said?
I'm sorry. I apologize. So I'm presenting the August 2022 financial statements and bills. And if there's anything that anybody has a question on, we can talk about it now, or I formally present the bills, the bills to be paid.
What was the monthly total
The monthly total of
for the bills?
47,979, 979.71. The accounts payable on the front page, the government or the bank balance sheet.
Oh, July 31st, sorry.
Okay. So as of July 31st, it was 47,979.
In the cash disbursement, it is 35,000.
I thought that number was really low. I just wondered.
Yeah,
why.
that does seem very good.
Is the salary not in there or what?
There should be, if we look at accounts payable. They're definitely.
I'm just thinking it's usually around 80-ish.
Yeah,
And it's like
80
half
to
of that.
100, yeah. That's-
And I thought I looked through this.
That's
Because,
okay.
no, because expenses last month were, for employees was 61.5. If you look on, the P and L for
Oh, so
July,
I don't have a
Isn't it-
total number.
Isn't the 76,955, 34?
Total liabilities, is that it? 76?
Isn't that what it is?
That sounds more like the number I'm used to seeing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just the format's
you
different.
know what, and I apologize, the format is different.
Is
April,
different.
it
because
is
the chart of account is being fleshed out more.
yes, and I'll tell you, I spent about 2 hours on this, and I was going back and forth, because I thought, this doesn't look, this, Joe has changed this
Okay.
from
Yes,
last
I'm not-
month.
so,
No,
okay,
it is,
I feel
and I
like that.
apologize, and I actually went through it and got a calculator out.
Okay.
Because I'm like, and one of the things I asked April, and I sent her back a note, was because if you look under our assets, petty cash, we have the, which was obviously quite high. And if you look at that, what happened was the state penal fines came in.
And that's where it got put.
And it evidently, that's where it normally gets put until it's booked.
Oh, I got
And I didn't realize that, and I thought, and I realized that's what the money was, but I'm like, why is it there? Right, and I did go back and ask April that.
wondering.
And she showed me that that's where we that is where it's put until it is, when we first receive it. Okay,
What do we do? Just parse it out to, like, does it go to the bank and then we parse it out with all the other expenses? So it just needs to go.
Oh, okay.
right. And it was before it was deposited to the bank.
I got you. Because I couldn't figure out why that number was so high.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, me too.
I'm like, I didn't have 2 hours to look.
Well, I did, I
I'm
looked
coming to the
at it
meeting and Gwen will explain it to me.
because April did send it to me. I asked her last Friday.
Okay.
And I did go through it this weekend and I'm like, and it is much different truly than what we've looked at before.
Okay.
So that's our total liabilities, but our accounts payable was really, the checks that were written were that 47,
Okay.
that 47,979. And the total liabilities was the 76,955.
So we don't need to move money to pay bills.
We do not. We moved money last month.
All right.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
So in the past, for payroll, we wrote a check to White Lake. So it would have been a check, but it seems like we've been seeing that in the check detail, yeah.
And the next section now, Rich, it shows the totals like 76,000.
Yeah.
Which is more like what I'm used to seeing. And
Yeah.
it took that accrued assets and added in employee charges or whatever it was.
Yeah,
And so those two together came to the 76, which is more what I'm used to seeing.
that makes sense.
But
I'm
I didn't
wondering
pick that up
about-
when I first looked at it.
I'm wondering about the current cash disbursements.
We don't need to do a motion to move that money. That's just part of business, right? It's not anything. We have
What do you
a
mean?
motion to move it out of
The petty cash,
and into the.
I don't think we ever had.
I never had.
Yeah,
so I didn't know.
right.
But I guess,
Quit asking questions.
No, it's just that we received a check and one deposit.
All right. So for years, we've been doing it that way, and I just didn't know.
Well, you caught me by surprise.
I don't think we have. I don't think, it
Okay.
hasn't.
You don't think you've seen it that way? before?
No, it's
Okay.
gone
Well,
right
it's
to,
possible we didn't have that level of detail.
yes,
before.
there's the different
You said
funds,
that we're
yeah,
doing the different chart.
Yeah.
chart accounts, yeah.
yeah, so I think that's right. But I'm still struggling with looking at the July 22 current cash disbursements totaling 35,206.62. And
All right, what are you looking at now?
so it's about the
Oh,
fourth sheet in the back.
what cash disbursement? I don't, total 35.
Yes.
Six. Dun, 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 I don't know. I don't think this is the whole month of July. Guys. Because, and why I'm saying that is, if you see Rich, it's definitely not, because it's, oh, wait, well, I think that counts as good enough. Because I'm not seeing all of the checks that are in the check detail. Because some of the check detail goes into August. So I agree with you.
Well, there's the current cash disbursement alpha for July 2022, which should match up to the fund balance.
Well, I apologize that I did not make sure that it did.
No, I think it's just understanding where that,
And where that, this 35,206 actually shows up on that.
Yeah, how does that tie?
Right, because it really should be here where this accounts payable is.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if the cash is strictly just July as opposed to some of the check detail going through August. 7th.
Right.
So, yeah, no, that's,
Right.
no, that, there is that, but
But
looking at
this
the,
should be this should, but yeah. And I think that's where, and I don't know if that's our discrepancy or not, April, but the July 31st should be July 31st. And this, and that cash disbursement actually goes through. Let's see, that looks like it's the last 6, 660.
Nichols,
18661.
660, yeah.
Looks like the last one that was in there was contenders, and these are actually, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, so that went through 18661, went through 727, right?
Mhm.
So then we start with 18662,
Well, it's just
which is
board.
August. But that's where we
Oh.
start August is my point, but that.
So that makes, so that would be the last check in the 661 is the first check.
Right, but
They've got these in alphabetical, that's the.
it was all
Why
right,
it's difficult.
but that is the last one, but Rich's point is why is our accounts payable different than this, than our current cash disbursement?
That's,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have
that's a I
to
think,
go on QuickBooks. And that's how Joe sends it.
Okay, but we're gonna have
We
to
might have
ask
to
him
have
that.
him tweak that so that it's just a straight up for a
Right.
month.
Well, actually, Rich, and it didn't match last month either.
it did not match last month, okay.
No,
So it just,
but we need to find out. I
Understand,
will
yeah.
talk to him about it,
Yeah.
because it does not match, last month does not match.
if anything, it would seem like if there's prepaids that were used, that would be accounts payable. So it's possible that that's where the,
Okay, but we didn't have any prepaids. Well, we did have prepaids as assets, but we don't have any. So April and I will get with Joe, okay?
yeah,
And
it's,
find out how we are supposed to do this so that we can actually match it up.
I don't think it's a big issue, but we just need to understand the,
Absolutely, and maybe we can have Joe come in here and talk through it with us.
I think if he explains it to you. we'll be
Okay.
fine.
Okay. But yeah,
The details, July 21st through August 17th.
It's a different,
Interesting.
well, but the report,
because that's the most,
Yeah.
right,
that, it makes sense to have that, but it also
Sure.
would make sense on looking at the cash disbursements for July.
Mhm.
Those are all July though. None of those go past. the
Right, so that
number
should
match.
18661,
but it
so
should
that
match
does match.
something under our
Yeah.
liabilities and equity, and it doesn't.
Well, this is cash basis, that's where it might actually be simply, prepaids are in addition, are, accounted for here as in the,
I'll email Joe and ask him these questions.
Okay, and did you CC me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
it might just be that, because there's I don't know. It might be a balance sheet
No,
transaction.
but it would be good for us to understand it.
Yeah.
I know that he's made a lot of changes, so we have more detail.
Yep.
But We have to be able to reconcile.
Sorry for the grumble.
No, it's okay, Rich, really.
Can I ask a question? I have to take a phone call for work. If I step outside, do you have to record that I stepped outside for X amount of minutes or whatever?
I don't know, but I'll at least
But
write
just
it down and
Write
we'll
it down,
figure it
please
out.
I just have to return this phone call. There's a customer at the store looking for something I did for
Yep.
them. No one can find it because
Okay.
it's looked for stuff. So, it shouldn't be very long.
Okay.
You'll be down to pay though
Yeah, let's see what I'm doing in this one.
for the 2.5 minutes.
Okay. But do we want to, I still want to present the bills for payment.
Yes. So we would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to accept the bills for payment as presented.
Okay,
Okay,
So you've made the.
I've made the
you've
motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Thank you.
all opposed? And the ayes have it.
Okay,
and thank you, April.
okay.
Anything else from the treasurer?
No, not until we get to the finance committee report.
Okay.
I think we're on to the library director's report.
No, you, I
Did I
have
miss
the
something?
agenda's got it as the finance
Yeah.
committee
Finance, sorry,
report next.
finance committee. Wants to.
Okay. I can start if you'd like me to, April. So, all right, so updated, we've got Flagstar updated forms. Because I have not, just sitting with Jen, because January, we took care of all the accounts besides Flagstar. So this month, we're taking care of having the people that were approved to be signatures on all the banking accounts. In January, we're finalizing that, so we need Jen to actually sign that form. And April, when you talk to them, we don't need a form that removes that. Because all the other banks required us.
In fact, what she's, actually, it gets resent me the form after we had talked. And she said, just pop it into your Adobe and you can just simply change, because that's what we did. We just flip flopped where they were and who was on there and print and sign and get it back to her.
Okay, all right, because the other banks required us to, Rich and Jen, you were required to sign a form that removed that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
You
we
did.
we did, yeah. But I don't think we had ever done that before. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
the rules may
Okay.
change.
So we should be all set with that. And the second one is a possibility of giving April the responsibility for transferring funds for us as the director. So I think we need to talk about that as a board. I don't know that we've done that in the past. And I'm not sure that we really should move away from having the three people that have signature authority. I don't know if we really should or shouldn't give that kind of authority to the director. So it's open for comment.
So
And it's for fund transfer from our Flagstar savings account to our PNC checking account.
Okay. So instead of voting on transfers every meeting,
No, we would do we would vote on those transfers,
yeah.
but it would give April the authorization to make those transfers on behalf of the board.
got it, okay.
So the way we've done this in the past is the director sent an email to and copied, and then the signatory then approved the transfer. There, I would agree with Gwen. I think it would make most sense to keep that process, or to just have the board members transfer based on the motion. But
Well, I think that the way that we did it the last month was where you initiated the
Yeah.
email to Flagstar and asked for confirmation. And you and Jen, was Joe on that as well? I don't remember. But anyway, I'm not comfortable changing that authorization from what we have today as a board. So I think the process works well. There's a paper trail. And only the people that have signature authorization really can make any changes to the account.
And that works for me, because what Yvonne had said is that she thought in the past that Denise had that, so that's.
Yeah, Denise would send the email to Yvonne with a copy, like to me or to Gwen or to, and then, I'd respond, approved
Okay.
there, and that would be the signatory.
So it's almost as if like that's why that was needed, was just for that email, because when I talked to her, I said, that's all. So if that's what we need for me to do that, that's fine. So if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're doing what Flagstar wants us to.
Yeah, that has to be signed by because even though I did an approval last month as treasurer, I am not on the Flagstar account until this goes through.
Yeah.
And so, and I questioned Rich, and he says, well, go ahead and send it and see what they say. But I think the process we did last month was the right process to do. And you generated the email, correct?
Yeah. So I mean, we can do it that way, but sometimes it's more convenient for the, it impacts the director more
For
quickly.
So Denise used to initiate the email, and then you and somebody else would respond that was on that account.
It was one person
Okay.
that would respond, but
Well, we've been doing too deep, so we probably should continue. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then I'm gonna go through some of the simpler things, and then we're gonna go through the policy draft. Jake, did you get a chance to look at it?
I did.
Okay,
I did,
thank you.
yeah.
All right, because I worked with April yesterday. So I did, one of the things I reached out to, we don't have a library credit card today for small expenses that are, and we've talked about this, and we think that this is something that we maybe should do. So we have people that work for the library that are using their own personal credit cards for small expenses. And it would just be a lot easier on everybody if we had if we had a corporate credit card. So I reached out to PNC and asked him about a corporate credit card, and he sent me back the details. And we can do one that it doesn't have any annual fees. And then I talked to him about it too after he sent the information. So we can sign up for one. And the best one that they had available is 1.5% cash back on purchases. And there's no limit on how much cash back that we can earn. We can determine also exactly what the amount is for that credit card. And I think last month we had talked about the possibility about the maximum on that credit card was $5,000. But I'm not sure, and I meant to ask you this before April, and maybe Amy would know, do we spend more than that usually in a month on those small expenditures?
No.
Except for like conferences, that would be blown before we even got to conference, so then we'd have to go in our pocket.
But if you pay the credit card in the middle of the month, then you're back down below your 5,000.
is it
Correct.
5,000 per month or 5,000 per transaction?
Well, I had asked him, can we do a credit card as low as $5,000 limit? And he said, yes, you can do a limit of whatever you want over $500. So we would have to make that decision as a board, is how much money we wanted to allocate to that credit card. Okay.
Mhm.
So there's no annual fee, obviously it would all be online, just like it would just be part of our PNC account today, and we would see that online as well. So we can, so there is another thing that can be done. So I asked him, I says, do we have to have a, the way that they write it is that everybody that we would want to have these, be able to use these expenditures like departments heads could have an individual account, and it all goes to that same account. He said you could do it White Lake Township Library and just with your director's name, or you can have, each department head could have a individual account, and they can set, you can actually set limits of those expenses to each individual department head. So they'd have their own library credit card, it'd all be the same account, and it would have their name on it. And well, Rich is actually the administrator to our accounts, so Rich would send, he could, with you, what you said, you know, okay, this department probably would never spend more than this amount of money, and we can do it that way, where each department would have a limit on how much they could spend on that credit card. So it's something to think about. And actually I'll give you this overview sheet, okay? So it, you make payments electronically, okay? It also will interact with like QuickBooks, and it can do a CSV file download into, you know, any, so it downloads transactions in Excel, Quicken, QuickBooks, or any .csv file, okay? It has 13 months of transaction detail. And, you know, you're able to log into it all the time and see what's being spent, right? So, yeah, the rest of it, isn't really something that we care about. We don't want a business credit card to do overdraft protection, because we don't need to worry about that. So, but it can be used online, obviously, it's a Visa business card, okay?
I mean, I can tell you just off the cuff, I think I would rather start with just one card
Okay,
as opposed to that many. Right now, we're consolidating anything, even our simple cards like Gordon Foods or, you know, Costco or things like that. We're really trying to keep those all in one spot. You come, you check it out,
okay.
get it for a certain amount of time, and that's how we're starting to roll
But
with
we
that,
can't
so.
do it, somebody's name has to be on that credit card.
And from experience, it was you have the library's name and the library director,
And that's what he recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
and other staff were still welcome to use that.
Okay.
They usually never had a problem going out to the public.
Okay, all right, I agree, yeah. So, and the way that they word this online, it looked like, you know, they would do multiple cards, and he says, no, it's really your choice, you could do just one card.
In my experience, which is somewhat limited, the one card works for like a school district perspective.
So one of the things we have to decide on that is the amount,
The credit limit.
the credit limit, yes. And I think, Jake, did we put that in the draft?
I don't believe we did, because we didn't want to. Pardon me.
Okay, so that's something that, you know, I would think that one, we have to vote, if we're going to issue, you know, apply for this credit card, and two, what the limit of the credit card needs to be.
So from a policy perspective, it might make sense to separate the limit from the policy, that
Okay,
reference policy that can be adjusted by motion of the board, or not a motion, but a approved motion, whatever the right term is there, but the board can change that based on circumstances, so that we don't have to republish the,
okay,
the
good point.
the policy.
And we actually have a dollar amount.
I saw
And
that.
yes,
Page 4.
methods of payment allowed and the use of credit card, and we did put in our policy, we put that limit on there, and I agree, Rich, we could.
Well, instead of striking it, I would suggest putting language that says or as amended, documented in board meeting minutes.
Okay, because right now it says the board will approve a credit card issuer and terms to be used by library management with a credit card, with a credit limit no greater than $5,000. The credit card may be used to make online remote purchases for budgeted goods and services and improve payment efficiencies. So, but you're saying, you know,
Or a limit, of
or any future limits approved by
a
through a
limited,
board
yeah.
meeting.
Does that make sense, rather than to revise the policy, like, we have a, hey, we're gonna have this conference coming up, it's gonna be $10,000. So we can make a motion to, for this month, increase the month, you know,
Yeah.
and
Right.
so, yeah, we
Will
can,
we make a motion on anything over 5,000, or did you already say that?
No, we haven't got that far.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah,
I'll look into some verbiage and bring it to the finance committee.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, you know, how easy it is to go to the bank and ask them to increase the limit.
sounds like we can do it online.
Okay. So, yeah, it says, yeah, almost everything you can do online. So because we have our checking account with PNC, and we do plan, we would pay it every month. We'd never really have to worry about interest rates. I would, so the interest rate on this is though, 13, depending on your, based on your credit worthiness, it's 13.24 to 22.24, which. And there's no annual fee. So while you were absent, we decided that we would just do one credit card and it would have April's name on it.
Okay. all right.
So this credit card can only be used for online and remote purchases. They wouldn't be allowed to use it in the community?
No, we really want it, we want it to be able to, we want them to be able to, if they have to go to Meijer, right, to buy
Mhm.
something, or Kroger, or any of the local, and I thought, and to me, remote meant not on site, not on.
Oh, okay, because I was
Okay.
thinking of that more of a different thing. Okay, got it, okay.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, April put together a draft, and then Jake and I met with her, and we did some edits. We've done some more edits. So this is our first draft of a official financial policy. You know, we're not giving people a whole lot of time to really look at it, because it didn't get, you know, we didn't really send it out because we finalized some things yesterday. So we can go through it today, or we can bring it back next month. You know, if we want to take time to go through it today, we'd be glad to do that. Or otherwise, we can, you know, I'll read it and we can come back next month and vote on it.
On the last page,
Mhm.
can you explain addendum 1?
Yes. No, just take that one.
Yes, okay, so that's part of our meetings today. So I talked about the library card. The other thing that we're talking about is electronic bill payment. Okay, so we're looking.
This will be a larger listed sample.
It will be a larger list, okay, and we will approve it. Okay, so,
So like, why was Baker and Taylor taken off? Is it just temporarily taken off?
well, I don't know why we would want to do an automatic payment on that. So, because this was for approved vendor expenditures list, and we can do that. But what I was saying to, there's a lot of them that we could probably do
Are we talking
for
more like monthly payments would be the ones that would be on this list?
like DTE is a utility, right? Baker and Taylor, and I have no problem with, and I just had her scratch it because one of the things I want to do is talk about it. When you sign the checks, do you read all the invoices? I do too. I want to continue to be able to see those
Oh,
invoices.
okay, yeah,
Okay,
because there could be multiple payments.
right,
I mean,
and so,
yeah.
like DTE, we know that's a utility, we know it's, you know, it's continual.
I understand.
I mean, there might be a lot of them that we might decide to put on there, but I think we need to talk through each one of them and decide if that's what we want to do, right?
So you someone will bring a list to the next
Sure.
meeting and we'll
Sure.
go through it. Okay.
Sure, but in that financial policy, I still think it's important that two board members that have signature authority to actually review the invoices.
I understand. I agree with that, yeah. But I would assume that there just wouldn't be a check.
Yes.
that it would still be part of the packet.
Correct.
Because there are some things that are like that where we don't have a check cut. What is one am I thinking of, that you see it, but there's no check?
The prime or what the life insurance principal?
Maybe that's it. So, but there is one like that already.
Okay,
So, but yeah, I would expect to see it in the invoice. It's just that
Yes.
there's no check being issued.
and, you know, honestly, we probably have quite a long list.
Yeah, and it might just be electronic payment. You know, it's written on there instead of a check.
Right.
Okay, I got you. I want
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay,
So for the addendum, that seems like that's going to be a living document. So,
yes, it's just gonna have to be.
yeah, so we would need in the policy, how do we manage that?
Well, maybe it's just a document that it references the document.
Yeah.
And then we update the document as needed. Did you not change the policy?
Not change the policy, but I think we'll need, what constitutes something, a valid entry in the addendum? What's our policy for approving somebody or removing somebody from the,
From electronic payment.
yeah,
What's that process? And then we can just,
and then that document is,
and not change the policy.
yeah,
Because policy. should change.
yeah, not for,
Perhaps as once we establish the original ones we want, as new ones come aboard, we can bring that to the board's attention to vote on. Or as you see things that you're still doing checks for over time, you start to say, once you get into the process and you realize, you know what, this could be more of an electronic, then we can then come back to the board and say,
My point was reference the document, keep it out of the policy.
Right.
And then you're not always updating the
Right.
policy. Right, okay. I just want to make sure I explain.
yeah, that makes sense. That way, the document is always,
That's fluid, but this
Fluid.
isn't. You don't
This
want
is
to
solid,
switch it
yeah.
along. Okay. I got you.
Okay,
would you agree, Jen, that we should have the reference to the process? of
Yes.
management? Okay.
Yes, that's what should be in here.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
And then it references as listed in the official electronic payment list or whatever we call
or addendum one.
it. Or addendum.
okay, so as we go through here, and we need to flesh out, make sure everybody's fine with, all the different, verbiage in here for the purpose, scope, and objectives, and our financial assumptions. And like I said, we don't have to approve this today, but we wanted to give everybody a draft and be able to read through it. And the sources of funding is something that I actually wanted to talk about. So the primary, that's page 2. The primary source of operating funds for the library are 3 separate millages. And we put those in there. And we also, I asked April about removing this all heavily reduced property tax collected in White Lake. I don't think that's
Because we
necessary.
restored that. Or just.
I think
No,
it
we
is,
restored it now, but they're still heavily limited.
right. And so I thought it doesn't really.
So
make
will it
sense.
decrease?
Yeah,
over
it'll,
time, starting now at 5?
yeah,
Point 5?
It will.
Yeah.
No, how nice.
But I don't think that we really need to say that in our financial policy. I don't think that there's any reason to mention that.
Sources of villages.
Right. So the board recognizes that property tax funding fluctuates with changes in the economy, variations in taxable valuations and development within the library service area. Additional revenue sources come from the penal fines, the friends, gifts, grants, fines and fees, state aid, and facility space rentals. Okay, so under financial principles, we just have the basics of accounting. It's pretty standard, and we can read through that. Donator and contributed funds, but then for strategically, strategy for increased financial stability would include, and we need to, and this was have at least, I think somebody recommended 8. I asked we put in here 5. Have 5% of the library revenue and all funds come from non-tax related sources. So I think that's one of the things that we were looking at too, is that we think that we can meet that 5%. I mean, right now, we're way over that because we've been, people have been so generous in gifts, right? But that's not always going to be the case.
Okay.
And do we want to be held accountable if we have a really rough year that we can't get, state aid, or we can't get a grant, or
Yeah.
You know, we don't, the gifts are very, very minimal.
So
So,
when you say non-tax related sources, are you just saying non-village?
non-property
Yes.
So it's
tax.
everything
Yes.
else? It's
yes,
this whole additional revenue sources
Yeah.
area?
yes,
Okay, so penal fines are not part of that, right? They're not.
They're not
driven by a
taxed.
they're not
base.
taxed, right?
Okay, yeah,
State, but state aid comes from taxes.
But it's
I
not,
don't know how fine a definition you want to put in.
I
It's just,
right,
if you just want to say non-tax related sources,
I would
collected
say,
through villages or whatever, maybe that makes it
oh,
clearer.
absolutely, we can say that,
Does that make it any clearer?
yeah.
Okay.
the,
Where do we want that change?
Where it says have at least 5% of the library revenue and all funds come from non-tax related sources.
Oh,
And we could say non-tax related millage sources, right?
non-village
Or
sources,
just non-village?
Just
Non-millage
non-village.
sources, okay.
from other than village sources.
Mhm.
On the, under sources of
And do we
funding,
want to make that more than 5%?
I don't even know what it is now. I don't even
It's
know what it
just
is.
under 8.
just-
Okay,
That's why I got
that
5%.
sounds good.
Five's a nice number. Yeah. it's
the,
good.
under the sources of funding where we have the fluctuations,
Yes,
that's where you would put and something like unconstitutionally mandated reductions.
instead of saying Headley.
Yeah, so leave it in that second sentence. And instead of saying Headley, you say that, you know, constitutionally, because that was the language we used on the ballot.
All right,
You could even say just mandated reductions, and whether it's constitutional or whatever, or just reductions.
okay. So that was the big one about 5%. And then we're going to continue to pursue grants to augment library programs and services and seek corporate partnerships and sponsorships. And then the next one is conservation of resources can be achieved through cost containment measures such as, and these are the monitoring staff patterns, seeking new technology for increased staff output, carefully monitoring budget performances and periodic reviews of internal controls. And those are just basics that really should be part of our financial policy. So then we also, the financial statements we prepared, it said timely recurring, but it should really say monthly.
Yeah, that's in the comments
Okay.
to the right.
Yeah, so financial statements be prepared on a monthly basis by the White Lake Township Library account. Reviewed by the director and the board of trustees on an ongoing basis, okay?
We don't, so we currently have an accountant on that we're using.
But he is getting a weekly update, isn't he?
A weekly?
I mean, doesn't he generate checks weekly? I mean, we get that
Yes.
Yeah.
report weekly.
Yes.
So he is doing it.
He's sending me, I get the QuickBooks upload every month.
The policy will basically be saying we are requiring ourselves to have an accountant.
Oh,
And we've operated without an
Okay.
accountant
Okay, good point.
for most of our
career. yeah.
50
As
years or
long as
whatever you've
I've
been
known,
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've just been a bookkeeper.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so do we want to say financial statements be prepared on
By
a
the-
monthly basis
by the White Lake Township Library.
by the okay, library, and be reviewed by the director and the board of trustees? Okay. So then we get to the purchase authority and limits. So library management may initiate purchase up to $1,000 for items considered to be within the current board approved budget without approval. For budget purchases over 1,000, those items must be reviewed and approved by the library director prior to purchase. Is this what we've done in the past?
So that's like Emma going out and buying $600 worth of crafts for summer reading or
Or
whatever.
more, or maybe like a program
Yeah, okay,
you know,
Yeah.
a large presenter, like the latest rock band that's $999.
okay.
And then if it goes over 1,000, then it have to have April's approval before the expenditures are made.
Over 1,000, but under 5,000.
Right, so then the next statement says that library director may approve budget purchases up to 5,000 without any additional approval.
And that's budgeted, so it's already been approved, basically.
Expenditures between 5 and 10 and not including the board approved budget must be specifically approved by the board. Or we could say expenditures
Well, how about-
over 5.
But like, let's say we want to do a sign or we want to do tiling and it's under 5,000, but it's not in the budget. Shouldn't April be able to do it? Or is she gonna, are we gonna ask you
Yes,
to bring it?
right, April should be able to do it if it's
Uh-huh.
under 5,000.
Right,
And that's how, what,
May approve
but it just said,
purchases.
it said that it had to
Okay,
be
budget
budget
purchases.
purchases.
Okay.
And this might, we might like have a fire and we need to get
Okay,
fire
good point.
extinguishers or whatever,
Good
and that's
point.
not in the budget, but it's under 5,000.
okay, so
Maybe
you
should
think
have
we should take the word
discretion.
budget out?
I think
Okay,
so.
Yeah.
okay,
Just for any kind of
Yeah.
operating expenses is
Mhm.
what I would put in instead. Are you okay with it?
That's very helpful.
Okay, yeah, I can't imagine having her come to us with every
Right.
single thing
right,
in the day-to-day running of the business. It's over $1,000, but less than $5,000.
okay. Expenditures between 5 and 10,000 and or not included in the board approved budget must be specifically approved by the board prior to initiation of the purchase.
So I'd get rid of the not included.
Well, this is expenditures between 5 and 10.
And or not included in the board approved budget. To me, that
But
reads,
it's or.
to me, that
Oh,
reads,
it-
even if it's less than 5,000, then I
Okay,
still have to come to the board. Is that how it reads to you guys, or? How does that read?
Yeah.
okay, so it should say, so read that back to me, Jen.
Expenditures between $5,000 and $10,000 must be specifically approved by the board prior to the initiation of the purchase. They require a minimum of 2 quotes. Expenditures over 10,000 will require a request for proposal.
Okay,
Why is that?
do we,
I thought it was just if it was over $5,000, we had to approve it.
but don't we have to do an, okay, but, at what point do we do an RFP?
Are you saying an RFP like?
Like a
get
request for
quotes and all
proposal,
of
right?
that?
right,
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay,
Yes, yes,
I'd say anything over.
okay,
I don't want to make it difficult. I mean,
So-
wordy, it's just like 1,000 for employees, 5,000 for April. 1,000 for employees approved by April, 5,000 for April approved by us. Why
anything
do I
over
need,
that,
why do I need another thing? Unless you are saying only things over 10,000
Only
are
10.
worthy of an RFP.
yes,
It's
Yeah.
not things,
Yeah.
like the stone wall in the back falls down and it costs $6,000 to fix it. Do we need an RFP or does April just find somebody who will do it? With
Right.
two,
I would look for 2 quotes, just,
just to check.
And that's-
You're in the
yeah,
wrong
that's
one.
fine.
Versus writing a request for proposal.
yes.
So we're saying the threshold is 10,000.
for an RFP, right, And we could make it higher than that.
Different from getting 2 quotes.
It's a little more.
RFPs remind me of when we built the building
right,
and they were
It's
very
such a
involved.
large item, so
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, I.
if you wanna go higher, that might make more sense. Because a lot of even the snow quotes and things like that are bordering between like 88 to 12. So
Do we want to
at
do
what
an RFP
point?
for that? No.
I
do I
don't.
just
Do you?
take notes or-
and that's why we're having this
Yeah,
meeting.
like maybe it's 20, is 20 worthy of the process? What kind of things, what's the most expensive thing you've paid for so far? Or got
At other places,
even other places, you,
50,
for
that was for renovation.
a renovation? See, I would expect a renovation to come through the board. Yeah,
Right,
okay. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think?
And even
20?
with that,
Uh-huh.
well, even with that, we kind of broke it out and still wound up going with one vendor.
Mhm.
So,
Well, there's still an
The board
overall
looks at
budget,
it.
even though you broke it down, the
Right.
overall budget is,
correct, yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
okay with
say a
it. If
little
you think
higher
20 is
for
reasonable, like-
RFP.
Yeah.
Especially to make it worth it if you're going to, doing the work it's gonna take to go out like a bid net
Yeah.
and to write it back.
Well, what's the drive-through window adding up to?
50.
It's 50.
50, and we approved a drive-through window up to a number at some
Right.
point.
Right. We
So I
had-
would, so I would say that's big enough that we would do it.
Okay,
What was the patio furniture?
It was mostly paid by the friends, but it was like 26.
but
Yeah.
did that include the umbrellas? I don't think it did. That was just
I
the,
think-
that was just the, that was just the.
But I think we
I think it
said,
did.
I think we said, like, I think Denise put in like 2,000 umbrellas.
Yeah.
Everything came in a little less anyways. so-
Yes,
I was glad to see we got the umbrellas locally, that was nice. Well, Waterford locally, but still,
Yeah.
that's nice.
They were very good.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yeah.
I bought my patio furniture from.
I'm going to next year. I want to replace.
We bought ours about 20 years ago
Yeah.
from them.
And it
it's
still
good.
probably looks great,
Yeah,
doesn't
looks
it?
okay, yeah.
So so expenditures between $5,000 and $10,000 must be specifically approved by the board prior to the initiation of purchase and require a minimum of 2 quotes.
So now we're saying,
And now we're saying expenditures between 5 and 20, right?
no, we're just saying under 20, over 20.
Expenditures between $5,000 and $20,000 must be specifically approved by the board prior to the initiation of purchase,
No.
of the purchase and require a minimum of 2 quotes. Expenditures over 20 require an RFP.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, I
Okay,
understand.
okay.
that.
Okay,
I haven't eaten yet today, so
Uh-oh.
I'm a little angry,
Would it-
sorry.
which is probably good for us to go through when you are. Okay, what do you think, Rich?
So, dollar figure, I think there's probably some things that where it would make sense to have an RFP under 20. There's probably some things that are over 20 that it wouldn't make sense to have a.
Well, I'll give an example. I want to present tonight about the donor sign,
Yeah.
the donor tree.
Yeah.
The donor tree, the first piece we looked at was like 40. We got it down to 30. We think we can get it down to 20. Do I need an RFP for that, or can I just work with the person who I know artistically will do what we want?
Right, so I think the board should be able to,
At the board's discretion.
at the board's discretion, so
Okay.
at the board's discretion, a request for proposal may be required
Okay,
for anything over $5,000.
Correct. Okay. that
And
makes
That's
sense.
in here. I like that.
then, you know, we got one number in there.
Yeah,
And
I'm good with that.
That
so
sounds
part
good.
of
yes.
that approval,
So you would come to the board meeting, or if you're in the middle of a cycle, send out an email saying, I need, oh my gosh, the patio sunk, I need to have it fixed.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's gonna be, my 2 proposals are 8,000 and 28,000. So.
No, I like that because in general, most things I would be bringing to you just to make you aware of it, say,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
So,
but if we needed something over $5,000, we might have to have a special board meeting to approve it,
I gotcha.
to
okay.
review it. Or you say, no, you don't, you don't need to fix that.
All right. Okay, so then we talked about how we're gonna do review invoices, okay? And we pretty much we're gonna continue to review invoices as we do today. You know, the process seems to work well. The departments review them. Then April and Amy review them, and then we review them as we're approving and signing checks, okay? So that's not really changing. So petty cash is gonna stay the same. We're looking at the credit card.
Skip a page, I'm sorry.
No, return the
Okay,
page,
sorry.
okay?
So this says one person reviews the bills and approves. The board treasurer or other designated board member will review all payments, related documentation, for final approval and check signatures when necessary.
Well, I always review them. Do you? Do you always review everything in it? I mean, you know, I think we should be required to have at least one person that's signing checks to review them.
Okay, I see what you're
I
saying.
would send a check.
I agree. I review them all. I mean, we can't, so it says the review director approved vendor receipts invoices are submitted to the library account for input into the library accounting system. And any additional processing necessary to complete timely payment. The board treasurer or other designated board member will review all payments and related documentation or appropriate accounting reports for final payment approval and check signatures if necessary. And so, I mean, if you want to say 2 board members, that's fine with me, Rich, but I just thought we needed to say at least one board member would.
Can't we just say don't sign the checks if you don't read?
Yeah, that's
To me,
good.
that's much more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think anybody that signs a check should be required to.
All right,
Review,
so we're gonna say board members with signature authorization
will review.
will review. Okay,
And then sign checks.
or approve EFT, right?
Okay, is that an electronic fund transfer?
Yes.
That seems fine.
Yes.
That should be the name of it.
Addendum 1 is EFT.
No, we're looking for.
Right, right. But that, that's
EFT approved,
electronic fund transfer is what the bank's called.
yeah, EFT approved vendors. Then we can show how smart we are. by knowing what EFT stands for.
Okay, so we'll say board members with signatory authorization will review all payments and related documentation. Okay,
Prior to signing the check.
to,
Executing their check writing authority duties. Don't mind me, I've just been at work since
Okay.
7 o'clock
All
this
right.
morning.
so, and then we've got petty cash, and then credit card, electronic funds. The board may approve an electronic bill payment vendor to facilitate efficient payment of budgeted goods and services. Management may initiate payments using the system of payment for non-recurring normal recurring goods and services listed in, and we said the approved vendor expenditures, and we should say document. Okay. Let's see, management may initiate payments using the system of payment for normal recurring
Is it,
goods and services of the approved vendor expenditure document.
is it approved vendor? The slash means and? So we're approving specific.
No, actually, it shouldn't probably be a slash, Rich. It should be approved vendor expenditures or
Approved
Good.
EFT. Approved
I gotta think
EFT
about this.
vendor expenditures.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because the list is gonna list vendors.
the EFT vendor list.
Yeah.
Okay. Management may use this payment system for purchases from vendors not on the list with approval of 2 board officers granted signature authority. So if we have somebody, do we want to do that, or do we want to?
It's a one-time payment kind of thing, or an occasional payment? Is that what you're thinking?
And well, now we've talked about changing this, where it's a living document. I think that we should scratch that, that sentence.
Mhm.
Because if there's something that needs to be added, if there's a vendor that needs to be added, then, we brought up in a board meeting.
If it's a one-time thing, doesn't seem like it, so adding a
We
vendor,
could check.
yeah, adding a vendor doesn't. So there are vendors like we require this to be electronic, and there's not time to, to get a board meeting together to make that approval. So I think having a, a one-time use, can be 2 signatories.
Okay, I mean, we can keep that there. We've had it in there. But I thought, okay, we don't use it today, so when would we, it might happen, right? It might happen in the future.
And more and more so people are requiring,
Yeah,
I had,
Like maybe the guest speaker doesn't want cash or a check, they want PayPal, or they want,
I know.
yeah.
or any of those. Does that
Yeah.
count as an EFT?
I don't know if we can do one, right, through our
You
account.
get a credit card, you have a bank, I mean, that's.
I mean, you can do it, you can do it with a credit card,
Or
right?
Zelle or whatever. but-
Yeah, you can do it with a credit card if it's under that limit, right? But, you know.
And you could set up, with the card, you could set up those accounts.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I would rather get paid with PayPal because then my husband doesn't see the money. Don't tell him. Whoever's
You just
watching,
put it on
don't tell him.
record.
I know, I forgot about it. Nobody called my husband and tell him that
watch this
I
meeting.
would keep him with the money.
Oh, my voices. Okay, so we'll keep that.
I think you want to make that like a one time.
Yeah, if it becomes, they could be on the list if it's
Right.
continual or more often or
Okay,
whatever we look at.
So you have two board members, two board officers granted signature.
two
authority.
board off, it should say two board members, two board trustees,
Yeah, because I'm not an officer.
Yeah.
right,
that
two
was-
board
yeah.
trustees, granted signature authority, okay. Checks, all other payments not made under one of the above methods will be made via check drawn on the board approved bank account and signed by two board trustees, granted signature authority.
Okay.
Okay. And then cash payments, library director in coordination with the library accountant will establish and maintain, do we want to say that? The library accountant will establish and maintain a process and procedure for recording and reconciling the petty cash activity balance on a regular basis, but no less than once a month.
Is Joe the library accountant?
He is, but
Because
Rich said we
it's not-
didn't have an accountant before, do we, for years we didn't have an accountant, do we want to actually put that word in our policy?
I would like us to maintain an account.
I would like us to maintain an accountant as well.
I agree,
Rather
but
than just have a bookkeeper. But do we think not all accountants would do all the cash stuff that Joe does? Because he's an accountant slash bookkeeper, really.
yeah,
The way
that's,
he does stuff.
yeah, I think we're locking ourselves in. It makes sense to have the accountant doing it. But I'm just thinking our other, previous experience, with costs and such, and just
Yeah.
trying to, so I would say it's, if we say the library director will establish and maintain a process,
Okay,
and the current process is you give it to
Working with the
Joe.
accountant.
Working with the
Yeah, there you
accountant,
go.
right.
okay,
So
that's
it
good.
doesn't make sense to say.
Yeah, but if we we go a different direction, then we say, well, okay, how are you gonna do this now? Without having to, rewrite a policy.
Yeah, actual
Sure.
policy should be rarely touched.
Okay, and we can take the word accountant out in most of these places, okay?
Mhm.
So the library director will match submitted receipts to the monthly credit card statement, code and summarize the monthly transactions, provide the reconciled summary to the library. Well, you can't reconcile it to, let's see, or the, will match, okay. Or the designated employee will match, this doesn't make sense. Because the library director will match submitted receipts to the monthly credit card, code and summarize monthly transactions and provide the reconciled statement for final review and approval for payment no less than once a month. So,
So we could not make the credit card a fund number. He has to take all the credit card purchases and track those back to the funds now, the different. funds.
yeah.
Right.
We're gonna
We
have
just
to.
say, hey, pay the credit card, they're all getting tracked back to the funds they need.
Yeah, that's why they say you can use Quicken and QuickBooks and
Okay,
Excel and any other CSV file that you want to use to dump that,
okay.
okay? Okay, so the credit card will be submitted to the library. We should say it will be submitted for payment processing as directed, i.e. check or electronic payment under the policy and procedures for those payment processes. Okay. And we're gonna take out to the library account on here. So for check payments, vendor receipts, invoices requiring check payment will be submitted. Will be submitted to make appropriate accounting accounts payable entries into the library accounting system and generate checks on a regular basis. Okay. And then again, so we could say the library director will provide regular reporting for payments made to outstanding accounts payable reported. If we want to take that account out of here.
Take that.
And, okay, and again, the library director will develop and implement procedures to verify all known vendor obligations, activities are reported timely in library accounting system.
Are you okay with taking the account now? Because it looks like it all goes to you.
Right.
Yeah, but there's
I just
still.
wanna-
You're responsible for it happening.
Okay, so we have other things that we want to add to this in the future.
Well, we're still on this, on the addendum,
We're not going to make it an addendum.
well, yeah, no, but you've got a normal range. Do you want to put a limit on the, on that? So we
These are the
approve-
normal ranges that we might have for that
Do you want to just
specific
say
vendor.
expected frequency and then like expected payment or expected total? or
Well, it's
something
gonna,
like
but
that?
like, okay, but
No less than.
if
no
you're
more
looking at
than-
Baker and Taylor and Amazon, they're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, but no more than 15, no more than 8.
We could do it that way.
Yeah, I think having a, a maximum.
Okay.
There. So if we pay the phone bill to United, we know that runs pretty consistently,
Okay,
600 to 800. And so maybe we put a $900 limit on that. And if it's,
It just flags it if it's more.
we flag it, wait a minute, that's
Okay.
beyond the policy for an electronic, let's take a closer look. And we can do it a one-time exception
Mhm.
there, but
Yeah.
it brings it back to, so some other action has to happen, like review this, why is this over?
Okay.
so shoot, I don't have my phone, so I don't have our emails back and forth, but we have a list of other things that we want to add to the financial policy.
Mhm.
Yes, we do. And I don't have it with me. So this is our rough, this was our first draft, and I appreciate everybody going through it. It's great. And then, we'll bring it back again, and then as the months go on, we will add these other sections, like, I think we had what, capital assets?
It was capitalization of assets, investments, cash management, fund balance, allocations, restrictions, employee compensation and benefits, budgeting process, accounting, financial controls,
This is
annual
all
audit.
going into the financial policy.
Well, we don't have to, but we thought, we don't have this document anywhere,
We don't.
not that I know of.
In a policy
Can
perspective.
I read the list? Can you read it?
So
Yeah.
these are things that we thought we could add to the financial policy. Maybe they need to be policies of their own. But I don't think we have them documented.
So we also have to be able to join the BidNet, we have to have a financial policy.
Right.
Right,
So-
this will suffice.
This will suffice. But if you wanted to,
I would say everything except compensation and benefits. It seems to be
Okay,
something that stands on its own.
okay. Those were the ideas of things that we found.
I'm gonna pay people so for work they do.
Yeah,
I mean-
yeah. That might be a statement, right?
Next.
Right, yeah, so,
But we
and
have a
it
lot of
actually,
that.
we do
We have a lot of
have,
things on
we have an HR
salaries
policy,
and
so.
stuff. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
The
think
personnel policy.
Okay.
that needs
Yeah.
to be beefed up, we could, but I would keep that
Okay.
out. But the other things, yeah, I suppose, it all has to do with finances.
Great.
Yeah.
Because
Good, the finance committee gets to do some of the work.
like I said, this was our first draft.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Very
No, it's a
good.
very- It's a very good start.
Well, and we had a template, April gave us a template and we spent some time on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but thank you for spending time on it today because it was a lot.
Are those things were in your former life, were those things in the financial policy? that you
Yes.
have on those? Okay.
Yes.
Well, then-
It's good.
Okay, so the one thing that I do think we probably need to vote on is, I think actually we have two things that we need to, that, I don't know, do we want to vote on this today? Do we want to, we never really voted that we one, we need to vote
Establish a credit card.
to establish credit cards. And two, I think we need to vote, do we want to establish an electronic bill payment system?
Okay, yeah, I can see those would be
Okay, so
results of this policy.
Okay.
We could run it to meet the guidelines as presented, and then they'll eventually be approved. Right, because you don't want to just say, hey, here's a credit card, but we're not quite sure what the policy is yet, so we would
Right.
reference this draft until.
Until we have a formal,
Yeah,
the final.
to be
Okay.
implemented upon approval of acceptance and approval of a financial.
I think we could get the credit card now, for sure.
Okay, because I can get that started.
Yeah, I would do that. There's
Okay.
there's enough direction in the policy that I think we could do that. If you just
Okay.
reference the draft version.
Okay,
The electronic payment, we could start looking at that, ask Joe what that entails,
Two options.
and
One is
start evaluating who and the range would be. And then vote on that next time. It's a little more fluid.
Okay.
But
So
this
we'll-
time I would definitely vote for the credit card.
sure.
It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And Joe's gonna give us some more information for next month, right, for EFT.
I have two options already. We have
Okay.
One is the free one, which is QuickBooks. It's, we can start with that. If that works for us, then great. Another one is bill.com, which I referenced last month, I believe, as far as like what that would. There was cost, but when you took out the savings of what we wouldn't be doing, it was actually cheaper than what it, oh, no, oh, that's free, so.
It's like, I need it less than free.
I know.
I wanted to hear the answer.
But I will talk with Joe and see if starting it with QuickBooks is a smart,
Okay.
it's maybe
Okay,
just to get it rolling, see how we all do. And then if we get to a point where, wow, this is working really well, or what we're running into any snags that QuickBook isn't quite the answer we thought it was gonna be, then we can go
Okay.
to something else that Joe.
do you have other things you want to comment,
Could we start
with Jason, about the draft?
with PE, just utilities right now?
Yep.
And just see how.
No,
This
we're
one
gonna
is
meet
great.
again,
Yes.
um,
Was the better.
week
and then
before,
just-
so it's what, the third Wednesday? So, yeah, we'll have a financial committee meeting the third Wednesday.
Before.
Yeah, the week before essentially.
Okay.
And we'll go over the items we talked about adding.
Okay, great.
April and I just had a side conversation that maybe we just start the QuickBooks stuff with the utilities because they recur every month.
I agree.
Yeah, and just see how it works.
And we can. Yeah, we can do that with, we'll come back with the financial policy, which will be a little bit more robust than.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I do realize there are people in the world who actually do this already.
Yes,
But I mean.
yes.
It's new to us.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to motion that the board approve a new library credit card. Do we want to start with 5,000 on it, Rich?
I think so.
Okay, so I motion that the board approve a new library credit card that has,
Is it a $5,000 limit or $5,000 per purchase limit? Are you saying
I think it's total credit,
total credit?
total credit limit.
do you think, that's why I'm asking, do you think we need more than
I
that?
think that's.
Because
Okay.
you're gonna have 30 days to pay that off, so you might have two things on there, the same that are less than 5.
Right.
So like,
Okay,
do we want to say 10?
that's where I was thinking.
10,
I think 10 is fair.
10, okay.
Rich?
And if it's not, you let us
Okay.
know. So start with 10, because I think all you gotta do is ask.
Yeah.
Because like, we probably have a pretty good credit score. Do institutions get credit scores?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
you get a rating, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm lucky I have credit.
so I motion that the board approve a library credit card for the White Lake Township Library, not to exceed $10,000 that will be used for general expenses within the library that
For the draft box.
for the draft policy, financial policy.
Dated
Do here.
August,
August
24th.
24th. Did you update this today, April, or was it yesterday?
It was-
Update the policy,
Yeah.
actually it was yesterday.
Okay, so, dated, August 23rd.
Is it 2020?
I don't know if it's physically
Yeah.
dated, but I can tell you.
Yes,
that's the
it's
last time.
dated August 18th. The draft.
You know,
draft.
that's, yeah, but I've made edits since then, so,
But this is what we reviewed.
This
Yeah.
is what,
So-
we yes, okay, so August 18th.
I just want to document. it.
And correct, I'm sorry.
I'll change the date every time I make an edit, that way it's,
Good
we'll
idea.
have it.
I can show you how to do that automatically.
Yeah, and do that in like version 1, version 2, helps with dates too.
So do I need to motion that again?
Do you have?
Okay, what I have written down.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
I'm gonna second whatever went.
Okay. Let me just write that down too. Okay, Gwen made the motion to approve a new library credit card for the White Lake Township Library not to exceed $10,000 for general expenses as per the draft financial policy dated 18 August 2022.
Thank you.
Version
Okay.
1,
Version 1, yes.
David.
Version, you want version 1? V1,
B1,
there we go. And that's seconded by Jen.
Yeah,
okay, great.
So do we want to make,
I just know that I had to.
do you want to make that $10,000 monthly?
Make sure everybody's looking at the right
Is
$10,000,
that?
a $10,000
Credit limit,
monthly
$10,000.
limit.
Yeah, but it won't be, it might not be. What do you mean monthly?
Because that's how credit
What's
cards
the month?
say that, you have a monthly limit. No, you're right, the
No, you
limit
don't.
goes,
No.
it's,
No,
yeah,
no.
no, it isn't
No,
monthly,
Just
you're
say
right.
credit limit of $10,000.
Yeah.
Credit limit, that's the
Yeah,
word, yeah.
credit limit.
With a credit limit,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
a
I
minimum
knew there was a word there.
yeah,
pay.
okay,
Because-
credit limit,
It isn't
They
one
may
of them.
just contact you, because that's happened to me before.
Okay.
That happens sometimes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. I know it was a lot.
we need to
We need
vote.
to vote on it.
So we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, anything else from the finance committee? Okay,
Fine.
let's move to the director's report.
I thought she wanted electronic bill payment.
Oh, my gosh, I do have something else.
So
Okay.
you said no.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Oh, my gosh, I'm
She
sorry.
had said she wanted a
I
motion,
do
and
have
I
one
wrote
other thing.
motion.
I'm sorry, and it goes back to the treasurer's report. Okay, I'll make this quick. We pay $36 a month in fees to PNC. $30 of that is for that sweep account.
Mhm.
Okay, so we pay a $30 fee for the sweep account, that every time we get to a certain amount of money in a checking account, they move money from that sweep account to a checking account. It is a money market. It was supposed to make money. At the time that it was opened, it did make money. The most we've made on that per month is $6 this month, this year, calendar year. We're paying $30 for it. We also pay $3 a month for a paper statement that's sent to the library. Because we don't have April listed and Joe as sub-users, that they could then just pull the statement. And then we also pay $3 a month for check imaging. Because that goes out with their statement. Whereas if they had access to the account, then they could see that we wouldn't have to have that. They could actually, they could just print that. And if they, anytime they wanted to see up to, I think it's 13 or 15 months, they wanted to see a former check, you know, the image of a check, they could do that online.
Can checks that we handwrite occasionally miss the cycle? Those are the ones I don't know that we'd have an image of, right? Wouldn't we need an image? It's still got a line item in the payment schedule.
Anything that goes through the bank, it
Has an
has
image.
a check image.
I know, are those the ones we actually need check images of, is what I'm asking. Is there an occasional need for
Oh,
a check image
okay.
or?
So, well, you know, if it shows up though, I mean, I don't really care. And if it's beneficial to the library, the $3 a month makes
more sense than 36.
Right.
I'm just asking, do we need it for that specific application, or are we not writing handwritten checks as much?
Rare.
Rare, but we may be asking you for one soon.
So it is rare.
I would still like a way
Okay, so we could leave
to
that.
capture that.
Sure, we could leave that, for sure.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah,
Just
I
say
think
that-
we should have continue to have a paper
Yeah.
copy of it.
I mean, we can continue to do the paper statement and the checking.
Yeah.
Copies. We could, it's $6 a month. The $30 a month for the sweep account no longer really makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the sweep account isn't giving us what we really
Yeah.
want to do. So we do need to though, vote as a board to eliminate that sweep account and just use the checking account. April and I, and Rich, if you wanted to also meet, there's a gentleman that's in the business office that's willing to meet with us about different options for actual, longer term investments that would make us a little bit more money.
Mhm.
Okay, so we just need to set up an appointment, and we finally received that person's name and number. We need to set that appointment up to talk, and I thought, instead of just me meeting with them, I asked that we have at least me in April, and if you would like to attend as well, that would be fine. And obviously, welcome. And so the PNC has different options, that we could use for extended long-term investments.
Mhm.
So I think that we should look at theirs and, the other different things that we have, right? I looked at online at Genesis and they really didn't have anything I thought made sense, and I looked at, I don't know if I looked at Lakes, I have to look at theirs, okay?
So one thing I've always wondered about is this need to have our money in different banks because of FDIC insurance. What do other corporations do? I mean, it doesn't make sense that everybody's limited at 500,000. I don't know anything about this.
Well, in
I've always wondered
Flagstar,
why
we
we
have
had
a
to
lot
do
more in that than what's insured.
Yeah, they have another, Yvonne was talking to me about it, and she didn't go into too much detail, but there are other options, additional options for insuring if you have more money in there.
Okay.
So that's.
I would ask this person about that when you have that meeting, because
Okay,
wouldn't it be easier if we just had everything in one basket? For
well, I think we did
financials?
that to, my understanding from a previous conversation is that was one of the reasons that we did that was to support our local banks.
Oh,
all
and
of
then I
the-
didn't know about. Yeah.
That was my understanding when I became treasurer, and those are the banks that are in our community.
Okay, that I did not.
Do I have that right?
Well, secondarily, it was secondary, so the primary was the keeping under FDIC insurance limits. And then secondarily, so where we're gonna use, what other banks will we use? Let's use local banks versus let's use local banks and so,
Mhm.
it was not the primary, there was a secondary
Okay.
consideration. But the insurance for above and beyond what's insured would make.
All right,
And they have to do something. General Motors can have $2 billion, and only get 500,000 back.
exactly.
Something's going on there.
Yeah.
Did we want to vote on trialing electronic bill payment with utilities, or are we gonna wait until we have more information next week?
I think we should vote on it, because Joe said he could use QuickBooks,
Okay.
right?
Be a nice way to dip our feet into it.
Okay,
So let's name the specific accounts that we're gonna do it with. And as part of the motion,
Utilities.
so that would be,
Detail consumers.
no, we don't have consumers.
yeah,
We do?
yes.
We don't, who don't we have? There's somebody
We don't, I think we have something with AT&T, and we also have the
DTE.
Um, the phone company, which is Universal.
Unicom. We could even just start with just a basic.
DTE.
Consumers and AT&T.
The other one I was thinking about, and then there's
Or even like
18.
Terminix. I mean, that's like a a small.
I think we should just start with utilities.
Is ADT considered a utility? A fire? Or no,
Security.
security.
AT&T. AT&T's in
I-
there.
On whatever page Nancy, I'm going to listing.
So the AT&T, DTE and consumer power are all regulated by the consumer or the public utilities.
Okay,
So to me, that seems like a good list to start with.
Would we want to include, I see on here, Oakland County Water?
yes, that was the other one I was thinking.
Yeah.
Let's just start with the utilities.
The regulated
Yes.
utilities, yeah, so.
What is this Pure Water Partners? I see that as a water.
That is it is a water dispenser in the
Okay.
staff area.
Okay.
Where'd you see? Oh, it's a different list you're looking at. I was just looking at this. List of checks.
It was in August,
Okay.
okay. So we're just gonna start with those four.
And then until Joe.
So let's,
So how are we gonna word the motion?
As Rich said, regulated utilities. What was that sound?
yeah, I wouldn't put that, I would say, well, AT&T, consumer power, DTE, and Oakland, what was it?
Oakland
County?
Water, Oakland County Water.
Yeah.
You wanna make that motion?
We would word it, make a motion to establish electronic payment fund to pay AT&T, DTE, Consumers Energy, and Oakland County Water,
Wait a minute, it says AT&T.
Water resource.
water resource, okay. AT&T,
Mm-hmm,
DTE,
mm-hmm,
Consumers Energy,
mm-hmm.
and Oakland County Water Resource.
Oakland County Water Resource.
Yeah,
I think that's how it's worded.
Okay.
And then we're gonna make one more. So,
So, let's see, so I heard the word fund,
yeah,
is that, it wouldn't be a fund, it
it's
was
electronic funds transfer.
a transfer. Okay.
Electronic, okay,
Electronic
establish an
funds
electronic funds transfer.
transfer.
EFT.
Okay. Okay, so what I have is motion to establish an electronic fund transfer to pay AT&T, DTE, Consumers Ed, and Oakland County Water Resource made by Jake Dudek.
Seconded by, do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
So I would like to make, as we finish the lengthy treasurer's report today. I
Well,
would,
this is.
No, you're in the
committee report.
Committee report, so you're
Okay.
good.
but I'd like to go back to that sweep account. I'd like to make a motion to close that sweep account.
Sure. I'll second.
Okay, so I make
Cost savings of
of
$360.
$360,
Annual cost savings of $360.
$60 a year. So I make a motion to close the PNC sweep account.
Okay, second.
To close P and C sweep account.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
And we have a second. All in favor?
seconded,
Jen second.
Jen seconded,
Aye.
aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Oh,
So is this going at the bottom of the finance
On the
committee
treasurer's
report?
report.
Back up to the treasurer's
Yes,
report?
yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
It all melded together.
I can do that.
Okay, finally, April.
On to the director's
On to the
report.
treasurer's report. Okay. Under board news, I did send you an email talking about the MLA annual conference, and that early bird registration is through September 9th. So if you are interested, if there anything looks interesting on there, if you want to for the day, that is over in Port Huron. And so looks like a fun time. I know we have a couple staff members that will be attending. I also want to give recognition in this area of the board for trustee Schultz for meeting with Image 360 regarding library signage and continuing on with that work. And Treasurer Nick who yesterday worked at the blood drive. So everything that you go out.
Were all the spots filled? They usually fill up.
No, there were a few open, very few.
Yeah.
I don't know how
It
many,
was much appreciated. We did hear that over and over.
I don't know how many.
I don't have the final numbers.
Yeah.
Usually around 50.
We had 44 sign up and in the couple hours that I worked, we did 3 walk-ins.
Okay.
And there were more people, there was a couple people that had signed up online, that weren't on that list.
Okay.
So I think it was pretty cool.
So each month, as you go out into the world and brag about the library, we will be putting that in here. Communications and marketing, we did another demo on a marketing tool. Library Aware was this one. And we did do a trial involving more of our librarians, as it has a few more tools that the librarians actually would be able to use than the others. So that's quite robust. So we'll be checking that. We will be presenting a final report that will show you all the different ones and the comparisons and costs and things like that.
Okay.
Well, and then you get any kind of metrics back to measure, I sent out 10,000 of these and I've got a response of 2,000 or 4,000 didn't even open up. That kind of
Yes,
stuff.
we will provide all of those, the different ones, and we'll be talking about which ones that we
Which
think
ones work well for you.
are going to be the best for our particular needs. We went ahead and created a half sheet marketing the e-news sign up, just to get more people aware of it and get more people signed up for that monthly e-newsletter. We really want to push that. Strategic planning updates for you. So I do have more coming, but right now I have 3 that I have reached out to. I'm going to have a meeting with one next week. It's called the IB group. I also reached out to another one that said that they're not going to be available this fall, but they would be available after that. And then as well as another one, Library Strategies Consulting, and I'm waiting to hear back from them about, some costs and things like that. So I can bring that back to you. So that's being worked on right now.
Do you remember who we used in Lansing? Or is it Lansing?
I don't think they're
They're-
in business.
Yeah, they
They're
retired.
retired.
Okay.
I don't remember the name. But it was,
Micah.
Okay, director connections. So I attended the Michigan New Directors Monthly Meeting. I attended the Chamber Nonprofit Network Meet and Greet, TLN Directors Meeting. I had New Horizons Rehabilitation Center. They came out. I wanted them to do a site visit and a tour. And so that went very well. In fact, either tomorrow or Friday, they will start their visits. And I'm very excited about that. They will be some of the people that I had at Novi, so I'm going to be very excited to see them come here. So that's good.
What would they do?
So they can use the computers. They will go into the Idea Lab and do crafts in there, games, puzzles, coloring, things like that. They will be eating their lunch here, so that we're able to do that out on the patio, sometimes in the garage. It'll be based on what we have available. So 2 groups of about 4, so about 8 total, and their caregivers. I know the caregivers, I've been around them, so I'm very, very excited, and the staff are very excited as well. So
That's really good.
it just warms my heart to have them back where I can see them. And spend time with them. I'm almost hoping they really come tomorrow so I can see them, but you know, we'll see. I was invited to, for an introduction to the White Lake Township Board, and I did that last week. And then we just had a real quick Friends Board meeting this morning, so we got a lot done. Great. Facilities report, so kind of expanded on this, so it's a little bit about what facilities does, as well as some other things that I would be working on. Again, patio furniture and umbrellas all installed and are being enjoyed. Asphalt, reminder, asphalt seal coating is this Sunday, and then they should have the striping done before we open by 10 a.m. I'm working with staff to make sure that we're going to meet up. If the parking lot is not quite seal coated by 9:30 a.m., then we're going to meet up locally, probably right here at JCPenney's. I want to shuttle them and make sure they're not walking across the road by themselves. Bathroom tile work, I have received 1 quote so far, and I'm waiting on one other one. They are coming in at a good, a lower amount than I thought, which is kind of nice.
Which tile are you gonna use? The small one?
I don't know yet. That's what,
Don't you think they would want to know that? before you told them
yeah.
how
So
much it
that's
costs?
what I'm like. Okay, well, it's kind of contingent on that, but
Because
yeah.
we use big ones like in the back, like behind the toilets, but we have
Right.
different ones around the front. I'd be happy to help you. You're very welcome.
much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
So very excited, really hoping to get that done this fall. I want that just done. Because I am a little, tired of going in there and seeing.
Is it labor only, or are they also including material in the quotes?
It is, this one is, let's see, space, remove base tile. It's not including the tile, the cost in there yet.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if they like put in a whole space over for the tile, but they haven't.
They're
put
not in
anything
this one,
So what you're looking at is to do the
just
job,
the,
not.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we'd have to still.
Still gotta work on that.
Okay.
Giant chess and checkers set are being enjoyed, and the 4 square balls are now inflated and in my office and ready to go out.
Good.
Thank you, Heather. Drive-up window update. So we'll talk about the zoning issue, but just so you're aware, we internally are working on our proposed procedure as well as a policy that we would be bringing to you. Because that's
Okay,
going to
great.
require that kind of stuff. We had an electrical outlet in study room 1 that was identified as loose and was fixed by our facilities person.
The pull down?
No, these are just the wall ones, and they're a bit like tight into the wall, but the outlet itself can
I got you.
the insert, so he was able to fix that. I added an umbrella stand with protective bags for when people come in with wet
That's
umbrellas.
a good
Yeah, I
idea.
think it's great.
When I saw that you put a bench out there.
Yeah.
That was our facilities person's idea. I was talking with Amy today, we may have to move that just over to the other side in the winter because apparently that warming vent can get quite hot, so. That metal can get real
And we have
hot.
people from that city.
Yeah.
Move along.
It's just for decoration.
Good intention. Signage and bathroom stalls replaced, working on continues to work on some emergency shut-off tags. We've had some HVAC issues, particularly RTU 5 has gone out a couple of times.
It's like the children's area.
No.
No.
No. What had happened it went out, it was the smoke detector on it, but it wasn't for any type of fire, it was just dirt, so we had Goya out, they cleaned it out. We were good, and then did it again, so they changed out all the filters, and what we have to do is we have to replace the smoke detector.
Okay.
So not a large cost, it's about $70, and it can be done in-house. Our facilities person can take care of that. So we are working on that. We updated the landscaping to-do list after meeting with a local expert, reached out to Retree regarding 2 of the eastern redbuds. They can sell these trees. So basically what Retree does is you send them lots of pictures of the trees, you send them some measurements, and then people go on to that site and they say, yep, I would like that tree. Within 48 hours of them, agreeing to that, they would come out here, pick the tree out fresh and move it. So that is an option for those 2 since they are relatively close to the building. The third one that is closest to the building is actually okay. There are other trees on property, right over here, these 3 that are not looking all that great. They can be air spaded to see. The air spading in and of itself could help them. Another option that we could do is to remove 2 of those 2 trees there and move the eastern redbuds.
I thought about that too, and I think I need to do some more reading. I don't know if they'll take the wind there.
I don't want to mix with trees.
Okay,
I want them to match, personally.
okay.
They're
And
not my
I agree.
trees.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
after I
would
walked
just
away
put
the other
same
day, I
stuff
thought,
in there.
I don't know if they will take that much sun, and I don't know if they will take that much wind.
So I'm not the expert.
Okay.
I will tell
need
you.
to look. I'll do some reading.
I would put that redbud someplace else and
The
get
2
3
redbuds.
new trees or whatever.
I don't think 3 trees are needed there.
Yeah.
I think we're way overplanted.
Well, we could just put foliage there and get trees out of there altogether if we want to.
We could do that as well.
I would be happy to be on that.
So I do want to mention that the air spading is around 1,000 to 1,200 because they have to bring out the large machine. And so there is a cost associated with air spading the 3 trees. So something to think about if you're just
But
wanting
if
to
they're coming
get.
out to pick up trees anyway.
Exactly. So if they're
Right.
picking up the trees, then that's exactly what they said. That's not, you're okay with that. So if you want to sell them, great. If you want to move them, we just need
Now,
to
if
know.
Retree had some maples, could we have them take our maples and put
We
other
can go
maples
on.
in there?
we
I
can
mean,
go
see if
online
we
and
find
see.
anything.
Yeah, right now they had a lot of Japanese maples, but definitely
Yeah,
it's
it's not the
something
same
to
kind of
look
height.
So we definitely need to have some of these trees air spaded to see if they were actually, to see if they were, one of the things it'll show us is they were planted correctly. Because many of them, the way they're dying, they weren't.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they were
Maybe that's
not.
all of me. Will air spraying fix that?
It can help.
It can help, but we do have some trees that are not gonna make it,
Okay.
unfortunately.
All right.
So yeah, so the question just comes down to, I mean, is it better just to replace it? If you see it's dying, or
Will they make recommendations to us?
they will come out for $150, they will come out and consult.
Okay.
So you could have them look and see, and they might come up with the same thing and say the eastern redwoods would do well there.
Yeah.
So.
I would like to be part of that, if that's okay, since I did the original patios. I know you have an interest in one, so maybe fun concession.
So I can provide this, I can email this, to you and see, and we can kind of go from there, and we can continue, and I can loop in Retree.
So the consultant that we did have come out and look at some of the things that we have here about actually how to trim the shrubbery is was what we were looking at, because a lot of things were grown,
Yeah.
right? And how we keep that maintained. It gave us recommendations of all of the boxwoods along the road, the way they're planted, we need about half of those there. And so that consultant gave us an idea of what we could do, and then take, those boxwoods are actually really beautiful plants, and they're all in good shape, and we probably can move them in front where those, we're gonna redistribute them.
Would they go where the redbuds are?
We can put them, actually, we can make a little hedge along that front of that, which would be very pretty, and we still have more that we could rehome. So we can talk about that some more.
That's good.
But she was very, very, very informative and helpful.
Okay.
We just
Did
need
she
volunteers.
volunteer that, or did she?
Yes,
Okay.
and asked to be unnamed.
Okay, that works. That works.
Yes,
And so, well, another thing we're going to have to address is getting volunteers for all of that work. That's a lot to move all of those boxwoods and some of the other plants to other areas.
We can definitely hire somebody to do it. A couple of the other, no, it's a lot of work. But there's a couple other libraries in the area that actually have a garden club that comes in and does. There's, Waterford has a group that comes in once a month and they spend between 2 and 3 hours. They spend more in the spring, more in the fall, but during the summer, they do 1 day a month, 2 or 3 hours, so it's 8 of them.
To do like weeding and trimming and whatnot. That's great. I was gonna ask if we could like have a volunteer day, like put it in the news bulletin.
So-
Let's get ready for winter, and would people come and help? I don't know how many people like to garden.
You would be
pizza.
surprised,
Yeah.
or for pizza. Yeah,
Or,
you'd be surprised.
For some sandwich.
So I've reached out to Joan, the director at Waterford, to
Uh-huh.
see if she can give us some tips on how we can just really get this going. Because it would be nice to have it on a regular basis. It is a lot for my facilities person to do the cleaning and then the outdoor work and plus all of the, the work orders that I have him for here doing and the small little jobs, like he had to replace the caulk and then this.
If we had Nate do it, it would be a
It's-
2-week job.
No, I
Yeah,
don't,
for sure.
I don't
Yeah, and
expect
right.
Nate to do that. It's not what we.
It's
hired
too
him
much.
to do,
There's
but
so much.
I
to
don't
do.
think we thought that through either.
Yeah.
When we.
Sure.
you
I mean,
know,
it's
we didn't-
beautiful, it's very beautiful, but
Yeah.
now everything needs to be trimmed,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes.
I've come over and we did before, probably on the video. But I've just come over and just pulled weeds, because I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I know that's grass, I can pull that, so. But it's just trying to help out, but yeah.
So one of the things that consultant said too, that's a little bit of a concern, and we'll find out for sure next year, is, all those grasses died, right? So all the grasses have been replaced. And that person said, well, if there had been a cornfield here previously, the corn itself, the plants themselves, and some of the fertilizer, some of the insecticides and stuff they use actually could actually be a deterrent to the grasses.
I got you, yeah.
Yeah.
And this used to be corn for a while,
It
but
was, yeah.
yeah. they-
So she said we might not ever be able to grow
The grass.
grass
Maybe
here.
some other ornamental plant.
But who would know, right?
Mhm.
Anyway. Okay, thank you.
All right, cool.
Cleaning, daily cleaning is continuing. It is difficult. Again, I just want to stress with having one person take care of that, it really bites into the day. So just kind of watching that and monitoring that.
So you say we might need a cleaning service?
We
again?
might, I'm almost wondering, I'm kind of just thinking in my mind of maybe once a week, or maybe it's not a daily, but something that kind of does more of a deep all clean of the whole thing. I'm thinking. Just
I mean,
making
I
you
would
aware.
expect Nate to empty the trash cans every day,
Oh, yeah,
but
that's
as far as doing
the
that kind of
patching and more the deeper stuff.
I noticed the windows are getting leaky again. Is that?
Yes,
Do we
we talked
have
about
a
the outside with
contract? Yeah.
with the sprinkler.
Yeah.
So I did talk with the window cleaning,
Mhm.
the fellow that does our outside window cleaning, and I'm going to be working with him to do in the fall.
I didn't know if we had a contract with him or if he just came.
He
in once
does,
in a
it
while.
says that's such a contract, he is doing a monthly where it's just really kind of these front ones out there and then the ones by the staff area, but I did talk with him about that because the sprinkler, and not only do they get on the lower parts of the window, which is right where the people are sitting in the table, but it's getting on the new patio furniture
Yeah.
and causing a lot of white blotchy marks,
Yeah.
so. You saw one problem, and that starts to. Okay, Friends, they just they're starting to do little pop-up sales. They had their first one by the blood drive here. They put up the stuff that really hadn't sold, and so didn't go quite as well as they thought, but they did have a young person come up and ask if they had any children's books, and so they're gonna be doing more of that kind of book selling in the future for these pop-ups, so we're excited about that. And their next book sale, September 15th through the 17th. Nothing with gifts and memorials, millage updates, yay, pass.
Yay.
Large thank you to the Friends. They did a great job working on some of that for the committee. Nothing this month with professional development, although I will say that we are continuing to develop the Niche Academy and get that ready for launch. So that is going to be for our patrons as well as for staff and for you. So we'll be putting stuff in there.
What did you say?
It's called Niche Academy.
You did say the word. niche.
Yep, okay, Niche Academy. So more information will be forthcoming about that. Programs, our seed donation is going great. I've got a notice here from Jacob, who has done so much work on this. Since the end of July, we.
I had never seen Jacob before. I mean, how could you miss Jacob? I said, how long have you been working here? I haven't seen you at all.
Well, and he was limited. He was
Yeah,
just a
That's
short
what
amount
we
of
talked,
hours.
we decided
Yeah.
that's what it was, but I thought, how could you miss
He's very sweet.
it? Yeah.
He does a great job. He's oftentimes asked for it. He's chicken there.
Oh, that's nice.
It's nice.
We were contacted, we got contacted by White Lake Lowe's, and they supplied us with roughly 5 15-gallon plastic containers worth of seed packets.
Whoa.
So sorting, he is sorting those.
Oh my goodness.
And integrating those into the supply and prepping for another spring launch. And this, let's see. Donations come in our catalog. Yep. So lots of work being done on that for year 2 of our seed library. So
Thank you, Jacob.
kudos to Jacob. SRP final numbers, nearly 800 readers, over 17,000 books, and over 800,000 minutes. Very proud of this community. Those are great numbers. Safety and security. So we had ServPro out here for an initial inspection and to look at where our utilities are located, and they have, as of today, provided us with an emergency readiness plan that if something goes wrong, we will know exactly where to go, what to shut off, who to call, and so very excited.
Nice.
Awesome. Very good to hear.
Yeah, so that was wonderful, quite different, easy to work with, and very helpful. Held another safety committee meeting, and so that is ongoing. Started our emergency manual, so that's much more in depth. The emergency readiness plan is part of the emergency manual ultimately. Working on exit maps. So I do have a quote coming in, and we'll be getting another one for those fire safety displays, inspection of fire extinguishers completed, tagged, and good for a year. Emergency lighting completed, good for 2 years. Need to note to you that we will eventually need an electrician at that 2-year mark. We're going to have to budget for that, to change those batteries as they are installed within the ballast. So it's a little bit more
Okay,
complicated.
okay.
But I will be monitoring that and we'll budget for that accordingly. Exit signage lights, they did notify Boynton, who came out for those 2 things, notified us that 2 of those are in need of batteries, and the guy just said he'd stop by and put those in for us. Ongoing, we are clearing the mechanical room. So there's a lot of extra shelving in there. I don't want to lose that shelving. So where I would mainly, I may put that out. I don't want to, so I want to keep a lot of that. We're looking around. I went out to staff to let them, where can we put up shelving in your staff areas? And so we're going to do that first, and then get some of that moved to the storage unit in Porter, off of Porter Road. So some of that will go into there. We are looking into walkie-talkies for emergency communication. So it's important to have those, with youth being all the way over there. You've got adult over here, and circulation and admin. So if there is a fire and we are exiting out of doors and doors here, and we have a central point that we've decided we're going to meet at, we need to be hearing from people. Do you have everyone? Are all staff accounted for? Are all guests out? And those walkie-talkies are crucial for that. Future staff training opportunities, fire drill, we will do a walkthrough, a simple walkthrough with just staff with the fire drill to start. Looking to see if we can eventually do use of pull stations and extinguishers. We will work with the fire department on that. And it also depends on if we can fit that in on the in-service. It is beginning to get quite
Is
full.
that the date, November?
Yes.
The 11th.
Yep, Veterans Day. Tornado drills, hoping at least with just staff, again, to do that walkthrough first before we deploy a drill to the public. And then the White Lake Police Department has confirmed that they will be doing an ALICE training for us at our in-service. So excited about that. It is a full-on Alice training, so it is not just the presentation. It is going to be the full-on, they're gonna hear the noise, they're gonna have the reaction. So the board is invited to come to that. So if you want to be there to experience that, you're welcome to be there for that.
What is Alice again?
It's
So
an
it's
active,
Active lockdown.
active lockdown for an active shooter.
Okay.
So two things that staff will be learning about. And that will also
They
give
just
us.
did it at St. Pat's for the teachers when I was doing a funeral lunch on Monday. And yeah, and they came through and it'll be interesting to see what they say, because they didn't like one of the areas because of all the windows.
So,
It's a school.
so I'm looking forward to that. I've gone through several Alice trainings and I've gone through several active shooter trainings. Thought I would react one way and definitely
Totally freaked out.
light.
The other thing on the staffing, how many of our staff have taken CPR training?
That is next on our list. Funny you should say that. Yep, we're gonna be looking into CPR training. There's only so much I can fit in
Right.
an in-service, but so we will be looking at that.
And the board might be interested if you need extra people.
Sure.
I haven't
That's a
done
good
it quite a
idea.
while.
Yeah.
So I'm also adding staff kudos to my director's report. Kathy Clark provided that quick tour to the New Horizon group as I was, couldn't quite get out of one meeting. And so she did the tour, which was actually wonderful. So as I was walking around on touring them again, they said, Kathy already showed us that. Great. And that was, I did not ask her to do that. She initiated that. And that is something I'd love for staff to do, is that you have someone that is new to the building and she was willing to just offer that tour, and so key. So just so people know what we have. And Heather, who I said, I would really like our programs to be, for them to go to the program calendar and not have something so static. I want it like, what is on the calendar for today? So within, how quickly? And it matched the Canva that we have in the youth department with the little s'mores, the little marshmallows, and you click on it and it goes straight to the program.
That's great.
Oh my God, you are brilliant. So kudos to her. So for that.
Can I ask a question? Heather? We did approve a policy for like, not renting, but reserving the gathering space for a meeting. But is that interactive yet, or do we have it in place yet?
Funny you should say that.
Okay.
Because we are consolidating the sign-up process to admin only. So we would, the three of us that are here tonight would be the ones starting to take those room rentals. There's a whole bunch more that I want to do with that, including reaching out to homeowners associations to improve that, getting more of them in.
Well, I'm gonna make a comment about that, because I would love to have done it for my homeowners association, but we close at 8:00.
Well, and that's another thing I
Yeah,
want to talk
okay.
about, because then it does involve
We
having
did have a
somebody.
policy. We did talk about
Mhm.
that. That's why we
Here.
put those doors in.
Yeah.
Right,
So you
right.
can lock the doors and still have access
But
to
it's
the
just, yeah, it
bathroom.
becomes a staff.
It's a
Because it becomes a
staffing.
staffing issue.
So it just
Because I
making
would
sure
have
that.
loved to have had our yearly one,
Exactly.
was just a couple weeks ago. We always do it at Dublin Center. We would have had more room here to do it.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm gonna be bringing to management for us to try to see if we can develop a way to make that work.
Okay.
Because it does, again, I would want to bring in the homeowners, because that's how we reach our
Mhm.
citizens really well. So,
Okay.
something we're gonna be working on. Okay, technology and website. So we have, we had a meeting with Envisionware for our first one for self-check intro meeting on the 18th. These are gonna be installed on October 11th. Hopefully they hang on, the one out there hangs on just a little
Until then,
longer.
yeah.
Still working on the hotspot grant. Heather has called and is following up on that, and so we're just hanging on to hopefully that gets approved. So a little more on that. Gmail, as I talked about last month, our website person has started the application process for that.
Okay.
So fingers crossed on that. And we are now developing a 3D printer procedure. Once we have a procedure down, we will then develop a policy to bring to you for that. If we want to get that going, so that people can, so that they can, what they could do is they would send us a file. We would look at the file, we would tell them how much it's going to cost. It could only be printed within a certain amount of time that we're open, because we don't want to run the 3D printer when we're not here. And then we would put that charge on their library account, they would pay, we would print, and they would pick up.
Oh,
So we're
Oh, so
developing.
it's not them doing it, we're
No.
doing it for them.
We would do it for them. So there's, we've been looking at, staff have been looking at a number of different example policies in that.
I can't believe anybody hasn't done a program about that, because it's such a hot thing. You would think someone would do a program, or maybe we should initiate a program next year.
So, yeah, it's a
We're
kind
pretty
of.
set for the rest of the year, right? on programming?
Right. And once we get this, once they get this under their belt and they start running it, we see how it goes, then they can see how that might work to demo it, to do demo leads, things like that as a program. And the
I'd like to
idea,
see people that come in, like make your own dinosaur or whatever,
right,
and then like you're running the thing, but they're learning about how 3D printers work.
how to, and actually how to build a file. We would be giving them a list of free websites that they can go to do like a .stl file. But yeah, definitely a program that we can do is how do you go on there and use that free software to create that. Idea Lab page is now, that is live, right, Heather? Yes, that's it. So our Idea Lab page is now live on the website, so we're very happy about that. And
Yeah,
that
we
is,
must have a baker's fair in a while, or tinker's fair, whatever it was, where people would bring things that were broken. And people would be here to fix it, probably just use code, but that might be something to get back into.
The last one we did, we had a horrible time getting volunteers to come in. And then we I mean, it was a lot of work, and Denise Harris did a great job on it. The first one was extremely popular, and then the second one was even
Yeah.
harder, and we did a third one. And we didn't get the people, we didn't get the volunteers, and, people, I mean, the knife sharpening was actually the most requested thing.
Oh, yeah.
Out of everything. And then it became also an issue of like what that person was comfortable sharpening in a public building.
Oh, I got you.
So, and the other thing that they wanted was furniture repair, and it became more than that person was comfortable repairing. They couldn't do the lathing and stuff like that here, and then the person wanted it done for free, and it became a little bit of an issue, so
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, that it became bigger than what what we could get volunteers for.
Okay.
It was very popular.
Like Waterfall Jeweler to come over.
Pardon?
Did you ever talk to Waterfall Jeweler about coming in to do?
They did programs, they did 2 programs for us.
They did.
Yeah, their staff just, no, they just didn't have enough staff to come over and do it, and we had it over in the old building that year,
Okay.
but so it was just, they took a lot of time for them to be able to get one person free to come over on a, program, so they did a great program.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of work for them.
No, I was just thinking, making them part of the repair fair, whatever we called it, tinker fair, when people brought stuff in to get fixed.
I don't know if they could do that here, I mean, because that would cost money probably because of the gold, silver,
Okay.
platinum, whatever you want repair, I mean,
Sorry.
it's something that we could have to look into.
Good talk. It's getting close to that.
The announcements were here.
I didn't either. Did they have us turned off?
What's that?
I didn't hear, the library will be closing.
Oh, they're closing out, they were gone
I
an
know,
hour ago,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They were in the middle of the
Usually we
financial.
the announcement.
Okay, all right, that's it, thank you,
Maybe the.
Wow.
a lot, thank you, April.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the closure dates?
Yes, oh, so you want me to continue new business?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2023 closure dates. So just want to draw your attention to, so normally Veterans Day and that next year is going to fall on a Saturday. And in-service day, we don't normally do on a weekend day with staffing. That's rather difficult. So I just want to see if we can move that to that Friday.
Will we be open then on the?
Would you close that Friday then?
Correct.
Close
And so it'd be closed
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's up to you. I wasn't asking to be closed on the
Saturday.
actual Veterans Day, but if that's how you, if you want to do that. Or I can put Veterans Day on Monday, but again, you're still facing that Saturday issue. So it's up to you. If we call Veterans
This is
Day,
staff preference
What,
motions.
what are the banks doing?
I can check.
I think that's, I don't know about you, Rich, but I'm thinking whatever, like the federal government, obviously, and the post office is gonna work, it's just Saturday, right? But what are banks in the community doing? And what's the township gonna do? Well, the township's already closed on Saturday, right? But yeah, it's gonna be closed on Saturday? Or they-
Some banks currently already are, they still are
Right.
doing because of COVID, but. yeah.
I'm okay with Friday or Monday. If we approve the schedule, can we leave that open and
But we also, are we gonna have them work Saturday, Veterans Day? Right, that's the thing.
And part of this is we need to know because TLN needs our.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, personally, I think that if the in-service day is on Friday, then Saturday is, we're open.
We're open, okay.
Because it's just 2 weeks from then, we're gonna be closed for,
Thanks.
for 4 days, right?
I don't think it's unusual to. A lot of libraries do their Veterans Day closure and many of them choose, if it's they don't do it on a weekend, they usually are choosing the Friday. Just because Friday's a little bit easier for most.
And we close at 5 o'clock on Fridays anyway, right?
Yeah, so it's you're not missing as long of a time like as you would on a Monday.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah. I think this, to me, that this makes sense. If the entire rest of the United States is doing something different, then maybe we should check. If the banks are closed and on Monday or.
But it's hard to do an in-service day on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
The observation for Veterans Day actually should be on the 10th for that year, since it's a Saturday.
Okay.
And then if it were a Sunday, it would fall to Monday. And so people in the military, it's one of their bonus days. They would end up getting the 10th and the 11th off, but that's the military only.
Okay,
But the government will shut down on November 10th.
so then we could do that in-service on the 10th, be open on the 11th.
Yeah, we've used it as an in-service day for maybe 10 years. I think prior to that, we didn't have an in-service day, yeah.
More than
So
that.
that's 12 days. How many do we have?
We've done an in-service 20,
20.
the whole time I've been.
Oh,
we've
full
always
time,
done it,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I guess
I
didn't
bet it
talk about it.
was it on always on Veterans Day? Okay.
So that's 12 days for the year, is that about what we have this year?
This one you're having a little bit more because, and actually a lot of libraries are,
Because
because,
of Christmas and New Year's.
yeah, because of the way it falls.
I was just thinking, since now we're paying for people to have these days paid for, if they're full-time employees, that. Part-time too. Yeah.
Yep, they get it.
Obviously, then if we had like only 10 last year, or we had 15 last year. I'm trying to keep them somewhere.
This looks like 15 days.
I'm at 12. Did I not count right?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16. Well, if you count the 20.
Yeah.
January 1st.
15,
Oh.
there's 15,
Some of them are.
there's
here, some
15,
of
so
them are
that's,
there,
I think
so
that's about what we.
I only counted,
Well,
Yeah.
I just thought it seemed
No,
like, because I
it's-
counted wrong.
It's 15,
You just.
because we're not really counting Monday,
15,
January
the
21st.
16th, we did this, the January 1st would
Right,
be. the
right,
next
the
year,
next
yeah.
year, right, so there's 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, so you said, so we're gonna be closed Saturday, December 23rd, which I think is,
Mhm.
I think it's
and
fine.
yeah, I do too.
Mhm.
Okay. We have to approve the schedule.
Yeah.
And we're taking Friday, working Saturday, working Monday, so that's, okay, got it. I'll make a motion to approve the closing date schedule for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You guys have it.
Especially if you haven't eaten tonight.
So every 2 to 3 years, it's time for us to renew the, our IT consulting.
This is your revised hours. and then-
Correct. Yep. So it's about that time, so I just want, this is for our financial policy.
Okay.
So, need to approve what this is, and I would like to move forward with keeping Mike Rotech.
Okay,
Mike's been with us, provided stellar, excellent service. I think since before 2012, I'm just seeing 2012.
and is,
23 years.
So,
okay, so is his, it isn't the same,
He
the
came with
maintenance
me.
agreement the same as last year?
yes, the same as the last one was 2020. So
I was
this
gonna
is-
say probably about like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's 500 hours.
Okay.
Okay,
Where? are
then
we
there's
at?
no increase in cost.
It's been the same since 2012.
So where are we at with the 500 hours?
We're down to about 12 hours left.
So it's time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For this calendar year?
yes.
So.
For now.
To affect this calendar year is needed.
I'm gonna talk to him about that to see, he was
Are you going
offering
to buy those
something.
hours separately? Compared to next year?
I could do it now, or I can hold off and talk with him and have him bill us, but I have to make sure it's at the same rate. It may not be at the same rate for the, and for the rest as it would be, right?
Because we still have a quarter to go through.
And he helps a little, he'll be helping a little bit with the EnvisionWare self-check install. So,
Are we getting computer updates and physical updates, I mean, physical computers, were we doing that this year?
We've already,
You already did it.
we did a whole bunch of hard drive, whatever we did, and then we replaced the circulation staff's computers. We're into rotations of what really needs to or can't be updated because of the Windows changes. But they're all up to date.
Okay. I just knew it was on the budget, but I couldn't remember when we did, if we'd done it already, so. that's
Yeah.
good.
It's just been part of the bill that, from.
yeah,
from Microtech.
Okay.
So I think in the past, we've gotten as we run out, of hours, we then purchase the next, slug of hours.
So the next contract starts when we have.
Exactly, so. I don't think,
Yes.
yeah, he had mentioned something about pulling the hours from the new year. I just want to make sure this gets approved.
so, let's see. So the request is to approve 500 hours of Microtech at, for a total of
37.5.
Does that screw up the depreciation schedule, or not depreciation, but what is it when you use something that you've already bought?
accrual.
Accrual.
So we'll,
Because it's gonna be for 23, but used
Yeah.
22.
so we accrue it. And I think that changed somewhat with how he's doing that. So it's all accrued.
immediately?
It's all accrued immediately, and then the invoices go against,
Stay amortized.
yeah, so as we use it, it's,
Yeah.
it's an expense, yeah,
It becomes an expense.
so it's an asset that gets turned into an expense.
This is why I'm not the treasurer.
We had a couple of things that the snow, it looked like the snow removal last year, that was done. So, which that, we might have to do that again with that this year, we'll have to see.
So do we need a motion to approve 500 hours at, is that
37,500,
37,500 or?
37,500 is the
Yes.
total.
Okay, motion.
It's $75 an hour.
So I'm making a motion to approve the pre-purchase of 500 hours from Microtech, not to exceed $37,500.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, as I'm slowly going over the policy manual, and I'm going to be forming a small committee of staff members to start reviewing policy manual and bring forth changes to you. One of the things is not so much a policy, it's just really a definition page to start out our public policy manual. So you'll see that there, tells you the purpose of the manual, gives your motto and our mission statement, just a real simple thing. And I just want to run that by you because it does have to do with the policy manual.
Is this all
That's it.
additions? There's no
That's it.
changes?
No policy, no nothing. It's really just definition of what the policy manual is.
So you say in here, public policy definition page, and
Yep.
this says policy manual.
Yeah, so that would be up on the top of the, that's just what's going to be on the top of the page.
Before the table of contents?
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
We have to motion and approve that.
I just want to bring it just in case, because it had to do with the policy manual, that anything is added, whether policy or not, I feel that it should be run by you. So if you don't, if you think you're good with it and it's not so much an approval,
I don't even know if we need to really approve it.
yeah, it's not
Cool.
really policy, it's just,
Oh,
It's
But it's part of the, it's part of the,
Policy
yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure
I don't think
you,
we have to approve.
yeah,
it.
Okay.
I think we do, because it's part of the policy manual.
I make a
It's-
motion to add a definition page to our policy
As presented.
as presented.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye, I'm sorry, aye to
Yeah.
the other.
Ayes have it.
okay. Okay, so the zoning issue, if you read the most
I
recent.
don't know if I wanna talk about this.
We can table it.
Can we table it?
Can we table it?
We can table it.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Because I think it's gonna take some more time.
Yep.
And I've got lots and lots of questions.
Mhm.
I'm just not ready.
No, it's gonna take some more time, so we're not in a hurry, right?
No, no hurry.
There's
I
nothing that we
yeah,
have to have.
I will save everything.
Yeah, and well, we need to discuss it. I just have lots and lots of questions. so. Okay, but if we could table that till next month, I would
Yep.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. There's maybe a lot of questions. can be answered.
We are not tabling it. The discussion will continue. A table means we actually made a motion but didn't complete
Okay,
it.
we will continue the discussion of the, thank you very much.
Yeah, I've always,
Wow.
I had to read
This
it
is
off
why
the
we
list,
have
yes.
to
So we're just,
secretary.
we're just
We're gonna continue the conversation.
continue the
Go ahead.
conversation next month.
Thank you,
Mhm. I have it written
thank
down.
you, thank you, thank you.
So that is, where am I? Oh, yeah, this one.
Okay.
Oh, here.
Okay, the next one is a review of policy 1S volunteers. So the first page you have there is the current 1S volunteers. We wanted to flesh this out a little bit more.
Where are you?
Yeah,
It's after all the zoning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. 'cause-
Review of policy.
Yeah.
yep.
Last.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right,
And so you'll see that's the one we currently have now. And then
After this.
Yes, it's right here.
Yeah.
This one.
that's the one we currently have. And then the new one that we're suggesting gives it a little more flesh to it. If this,
Those three lines is gonna replace this. Or is it-
This,
No,
no,
this,
the first
this
one is current,
okay.
the second two-pager is what I'm suggesting.
Okay, yeah, and
Do
again,
you
I
want
think we can
to-
continue this discussion, because this gets, so here's a suggestion that I have, because you knew it's our director, is that if we have these things ahead of time, like 2 or 3 days ahead of time, we can read through those and be much more prepared to discuss at a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
You read my mind.
thank you. So if we can further this discussion next month, and then we can all take the time to read this and provide the comments back when we prepared for comment, that'd be great.
That would be great.
Is that okay with you, Rich?
Yeah, that's good.
Can we plan on maybe sending out like a week ahead?
Yeah.
That'd be good enough.
Yeah, even just a few days before.
Yeah, I think we used to do like,
It's like once or 2 days before.
yeah, like 2 days before, and it gave us some, like on a Monday morning, it gave us some real time to review things before we came in on Wednesday. But this is a big
Continue
change.
that discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, under old business, request to sell the lawnmower. I've received one offer for 3,700. I was hoping for 5.
Shoot,
Came in lower than that, and I got him up a little more.
you know what? I didn't do what I told you I would do. I apologize. You don't have to accept that offer right now, right?
I have not, no.
I have someone that probably knows other people.
And I've reached out to one other person to see if that's even what it should be. I'm seeing a couple different prices online, but,
Could you send the detail? I have a couple different people that are, have a lot of interface with people in lawn services on a daily basis, and we may be, I think for the little bit of hours that we have on it, we should be able to get a lot better price than that.
I agree with you.
So, and I apologize because I had said something to you before. I got the phone. But yeah, because that's not close to what we paid for.
I
No, I
would
know.
like to do better.
Okay,
If we
right,
could. Okay, so we're getting
Do
to
they
the,
have like in the spinal column, do they have like a page where you take out ads?
Like a classified.
Yeah, that's the
that
one.
was another thing, that was,
Yeah,
if all else fails.
yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, getting back to the Cobra. So, had heard from the attorney, best to rename the Cobra policy and provide a short summary on what, how long insurance coverage will remain in place following separation from employment or leave of absence. So is this something that you want me to bring or rewrite, or where do you want to go with that?
So the basic changes, we no longer, we're at a size where we don't offer, we can't,
Right,
we aren't covered by COBRA.
yeah, we don't have the amount of FTEs.
So it seems to me that our policy should reflect that. I
I
don't
think
know,
it's a good idea to have the attorney review it. I didn't realize that happened. I hadn't really thought about it.
So would you like me to have him provide
Comments,
Yeah, I did.
recommendation.
I had asked him to, and that's the answer. So follow back up.
Thank you.
When he was looking at that, because I sent him the personnel policy, He also noticed that our FMLA, just to make you aware, 4.12 FMLA policy, that, let's see here. Although all public sector employers are covered by the FMLA, employees are eligible for FMLA leave only if they work at a location in which the employer employs at least 50 employees within 75 miles.
And when we were under the same issue, basically the size of the,
Of the library, right?
well, it's been, since we had the township doing
All that
those
for us.
services,
Yeah,
Right.
with the coverage extended, and now we don't. So that was it.
So he is offering to review the policy manual in general. My feeling on this is I would prefer him at this point just to look at COBRA and relook at FMLA. I know that was originally talked about at the April meeting. Because he was asking if it was reviewed by an attorney at that time. And I'm not sure if it was or not, but so I would like him to look at those two, as opposed to the whole thing, because I would rather have, my management team and us look at the policies as they are now. Are they still relevant? And then come to you and have you review and maybe even, go through that before we go to paying an attorney to have all of that. Because I know there's still gonna be issues with some things that we're gonna want to change in both the personnel and the public. So over the course of the year, I'd rather us work in-house first before we do that.
We had a committee, personnel policy, review 8 years, 10 years, I don't know, it's a long time ago.
So maybe you need another committee, right?
Well,
In
I
the
think,
future.
yeah, I think the FMLA and COBRA would definitely need to be attended to. So I like the idea of having a lawyer review that. We didn't do that with the original language. I'm pretty sure. It was simpler times.
So I will have him work on new wording for what will remain in place or what will stop when someone leaves. And then also I will have him work on the FMLA,
Okay, thank you.
and that's it for now.
And then I'm reading this second thing. And I don't disagree with what he says here. I would like you to take back what the bank said to us. Okay, because you have a copy of that email of what the bank said, and say, this is what the bank is saying to us. Because, as I said, I've talked to him like 3 times. He keeps saying, you have to have this person. So, and the lawyer absolutely says the exact opposite.
But I would also include then the paperwork that we signed, which is saying something different from what the bank is. The application where it,
Right, that you sent to us.
yeah,
Yes. And I sent that to him.
yeah.
So I don't disagree at all. I'm just,
If push comes to shove, we can change it. Thanks.
yeah. But I think that there's a disconnect in the forms we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is what I think is going on. That could be. Okay,
It might be that for a business, I mean, for business, that makes sense, but we're not a business.
Right.
So just because they're putting us under a business.
well, he has us under a nonprofit.
Yeah.
He has us listed as a nonprofit. That-
So
that
we're
is-
not really a nonprofit either.
but we're not for profit.
We're,
It's a complicated.
we're,
Right.
a governmental agency. Which is different than either. So we, a nonprofit would have a responsible entity, but
Like the Friends.
yeah.
Right. Okay, I will continue on with that.
Yeah, so if you could take that back, share what the bank said, let's see what the lawyer says. Because when we get out next year, we want it to be right.
Okay, so you'll see on here, I left a strategic plan request, but I've already addressed that in my director's report, telling you about that. The snow and ice management quotes, again, still having some trouble, getting a little closer to getting a couple more quotes, but I may have to move on this sooner. The one quote I have had sitting for me since I came aboard, which I do like, is locked in. Again, he's willing to do a locked in rate for 3 years. And you pay in the fall, and then you pay in November, and then you pay in January. And it looks like we did that same thing last year with the same.
The same
company.
person.
Mhm. They have a good track record with us. They are local. And so if all else fails, I'd rather just move on this and get this wrapped up. But if I can get some snow quotes in the next week or two, or before the next
Okay.
board meeting,
Or,
I
but
just
this
wanna move
is, on this is
this.
a three.
this is a locked in for 3 years at this rate.
So what's the
The rate
rate?
is $8,255 with 2
Okay.
payments, so $4,127 in November and the same in January.
And is that per year or for 3 years?
Right, so it's for 3, so that's for 3 years. So if we locked it in, we would pay 22, so that would be November of 22, January of 23 would be the first one, and then 23, 24 would say
That's what I'm asking you.
$32,000.
yes,
And-
yes, technically,
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So are we happy with that?
yes.
Okay.
We've been happy with them.
So,
So do we have to put something like that out for requests for,
Trying, they're saying.
That's
Yeah.
the problem, not getting.
right, but are we even required to do that every year? You know, like he's
Not
doing
every
3
year,
years,
every
now,
3
this is 3 years, but would we be required every 3 years to go out and we have it recorded?
I think it's just like the situation of Mark
I do too.
in our technology.
I mean, it's hard to find,
It's kind of like a
It's a
free
very
ride.
hard time,
you
yeah.
know. I would treat it like we treat.
and so we pay this, so if something happens and if he services us for 2023, but he's no longer in business in 2024, we've not prepaid 2024. Okay, okay,
It's already, that's in the contract already.
okay,
so,
okay, great.
yeah, so why don't we do this?
If
What I'm suggesting that we move to accept this
this bid.
This
based on
bid.
Prior experience.
And if you find something that you think would be a better approach, then we can come back, either have a special meeting for that, or do it at the next meeting. But it would give you the flexibility to move forward with it.
Right.
With a a reasonable quote, that seems reasonable.
Okay.
With that,
I'm good with it. I'm just wondering if the slip and fall issues are resolved. Or like, are they gonna say we can't hold them responsible?
Oh. Yeah, so, no, I went over this contract and I redlined it, marked it, and it's gonna be changed because I'm not giving up immunity. No. That's okay. No, that was the first thing. In fact, I looked at this shortly after I
He's okay with
started.
it? He's okay with it?
Yeah, he said, yeah, he'll change it.
Okay.
He said it's just normal jargon he puts in there, and I said, well, you're gonna have to take it out.
Not normal for our.
And most libraries are going to. I've already talked about that with other directors. No,
I'll make a motion to move forward with
Jake Ryan.
Jake Ryan stone removal for and take advantage of the 3-year lock-in rate. Unless the director finds a more favorable option between now and the first payment.
I second that motion. The quick word.
all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed, the ayes have it.
I can do signs in about 5 minutes.
Can you do
I
it?
just want you to understand, no, I just want you to understand, A, there's an expense that's gonna have to be approved in probably the next meeting, I don't have.
Okay.
So it's kind of like 3 situations. One is, We just need some updated signage, fire exits, name tags, please roll down your umbrella, that kind of stuff. No skateboarding, some stuff on the gates that, right now it has a up arrow that is imprinted, but you can't see it.
I can't.
And if you're in the middle, if you're in the middle of a fire, you're like, how do I get out of here? So, some that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so that needs to be done. The other two options are, that I would like your input on, and I don't know how much money we have left in the budget for this year, or if we want to move these things to next year possibly. One is there is no clock in the building, except for a very tiny, small clock that's over, well, no, I mean, in the
Yeah,
outside areas
yeah.
where people, you know,
There's not.
gather. There's a little tiny clock on the mantle. What we'd like to do is get a bigger clock that can be seen like from circulation desk on the fireplace and make it part of an art installation showing popular figures from history and current reading books.
Nice.
Okay, and I have a picture of it.
Okay.
And the estimate is like between 7,000 and 10,000 for
Okay.
that, so that's one thing to think about. And the other thing is, we've talked about a donor tree since we opened the place. And I do have prior donors that need to be acknowledged.
Okay.
The donor tree would be on the wall by the men's room. And we had an initial, you may not have been around, when we had the initial vision for that, which was like $44,000. And I'll show you a picture. And then we've talked about how can we reduce the cost of that? And we're thinking we can get in between around $25,000. Other than that, we would just have to make it a sign, you know, and not pursue leaves and that kind of stuff. I'll show you a picture of that too.
Okay.
Okay, so those are three things. One, we need to update signage. I'm guessing it'll be less than $10,000. I wouldn't imagine it even being $5,000 based on past experience. The next is, you know, the artwork over the fireplace, and then what do we do about donors, donor tree?
Donor tree's really.
I think it's important,
I agree.
and I'd like it to key in with the donor leaves that we have in the library already to keep the
Okay.
branding of the library together. Okay, so if Amy wants to just run through the pictures, I'll explain it. And again, I'll be Joe and
I don't have
this,
them.
and we'll get costs.
They're still
They
not
never
here.
came through.
Nope.
I sent them twice.
Plus, I'm gonna have to take a break, or we're gonna have to stop so I can get the technology, so
Okay. You know,
can we take a
can
5-minute?
Take a 5-minute break, okay.
And I do,
Why
let
are they
me,
not
let me
doing
pause,
that?
can I, is it okay to pause the meeting?
Yes.
Recording.
Do we have to make a motion to do that? I'll make a motion to pause the meeting for technology reasons.
I second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll start shortly.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We're recording.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to turn the camera so that it's not all of you just looking up, so it'll kind of be recording the screen.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you wanna put that on?
Isn't that
I'm turning to the screen, right?
Yes, this is what they're seeing right now, recording.
right? But then they're gonna see the camera. Okay, there you go.
Mhm. Yep, and then you have to move it up a little. Yep.
There you
There we go.
So it's not gonna be great, but it's what,
go. Okay.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
All right, so these are not in the order I talked about things because that's how they are. So, there's an existing fire lane sign. We're thinking putting a no skateboard icon there.
Excellent.
Yeah, the one question I have for you is, do we want to say trespassers or whatever will be prosecuted? Or do we want to say, and encourage people to skateboard that way? Or do we just want to put the skateboard icon?
I prefer just the icon.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All right,
Yeah.
so we'll do that. And that's where we'll put, that's the cheapest way to put it, is just put it right there.
Mhm.
The other question was, I've come here before, or driven by before, and seen skateboarders in the parking lot. Do we feel like we need signs in the parking lot, or that one, where you can see it from the parking lot and you can see it from the patio? Does that cover it?
Stratus both.
I think one sign is sufficient. I'm just wondering, okay. This is there are some magnetic plaques out there right now that were handmade. I'm big on everything looking professional and keeping the brand of the library together. So we thought what we would do is put a plaque on there that says something about donated by the Friends of the Library. And then say, please put the umbrellas down when you leave.
And will it lay flat on the
We're
table?
thinking that it's gonna be an engraved plaque
Uh-huh.
and it's weather resistant. And we're thinking of putting it right there,
Right under the handle?
right under the candle there in the space that's bigger.
Okay.
And we think that we can get it in there. And if we can't, then we're gonna have to put a flat on the, like right here,
Okay,
maybe flat,
okay.
okay? Those are the two
But
options.
it's gotta make, if it's below the handle, we have to make sure that people can still crank the handle right without hitting that.
Yeah, that's why, that's like, we don't really think that's gonna work, but we're gonna try it.
Okay,
And if it
Okay.
doesn't, that's the other option, is
Okay.
where, see where it's got like an X that is flat,
yes,
not holes, it'd be
Right.
on there, in
okay,
that general area.
okay.
Okay, and then down here with the memory garden, these are all the donor bricks from the original patio at the old library. There's space here that we could put new ones in if someone wants to do a brick as a donation.
That's a great idea.
And then,
absolutely.
like either right here or right here, to put one of those signs that it's like on a stick and it's slanted,
Mhm.
so you
Oh,
can
yeah.
read it,
Mhm.
to do that there. Something about
Excellent idea.
memory garden.
Yes,
Okay,
fabulous.
so you go to the next one. It's Joe, it's right here. This one here, and we looked at PDF one. So just whatever the next one is in the line.
For the flat ones on the table, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Would that, if we don't have the umbrellas and wanted to use the table for how thick are they? So like if somebody
I'm
wanted
gonna
to.
try
like-
to put it really close to the,
They're super thin.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, because you know, if somebody wanted to like do a puzzle on the table. I mean, I know they have slides, that's a bad example, but little
I
slides on
understand.
it, so yeah.
We're gonna try to keep it as close to the stick and as small, but still readable as possible. So, I won't say who it's for in case they are watching the stuff, but there's somebody who has donated money to honor somebody.
Okay,
And so, this is just that I'm getting another one of those. Those cost about $200 to $300.
Those are so pretty.
okay,
So, and remember this glass leaf when I get to the donor tree. This is a picture of the original donor tree. Some of the concerns were these roots here
right,
being in the way. And just the thickness of it altogether looks cool, but costs a lot of money. So they sent me a picture where this isn't here at all,
okay,
okay? And where all this stuff is smaller, okay? But still dimensional, but just smaller in general. And that the leaves wouldn't be so big, they'd be about 6 inches big, which is like, the ones we have right now are around 3 inches, so they're bigger, but they're not like the big 12-inch leaves. So all of that helps reduce the cost. And then these would be people who donated over, I think the limit was $5,000 to get a leaf.
okay.
They would be here. I could look into the records maybe, April, to see if we had any past donors that we'd want to honor that way. But everybody else we would put on these signs here from the original tree that we had to go over.
We just talked today and they're in the circulation storage.
Okay. I have a file that lists
And then
everybody,
you said you had a file.
but
so-
and I have what color leaf they were or what color branch they were, but I don't have an actual.
That coincides to the dollar
Right.
amount, okay.
Okay,
Let's
but that
see
was,
what we'll
I
take a
think
look
if they donated a branch, then they met that threshold, but I wasn't around when we did the first one. And so we'd have to just see if we could dig that out of the records. Definitely the person who gave the money last year would be someone we definitely would already put up here
Right,
with a leaf. If she wants to be identified, I can't remember if she wants to be identified. So, or wanted.
The initial
Yeah,
one?
the big one, no, okay, so
Should
no.
not.
But we
But
could
do
just
you
have an
then
anonymous
Yeah.
for
That would
that
be nice.
generosity.
Sure.
So that's the plan. Right now, we think we can do it with this wall saver in place,
That would be
but
great.
we might have to cut it right here and right here
And what do we do if, when we have more donors?
Oh, we just add them. Right
But
now,
what
we
if they don't meet the requirement for a leaf?
Then I would probably start another plaque
Okay,
and update it
okay,
quarterly, yearly, whatever. We could even have a sleeve that we could, do recent donations and then every year update it. Sign or whatever.
Like maybe, yeah, so maybe one's more permanent, one's more.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
2020.
Because these people would be listed as like legacy donors because they were
Okay.
from the old building.
Okay.
Okay, and we really haven't had a donation drive
Right.
since we started the building.
right.
And all of those people did get acknowledged in the, with the leads. But just regular donors should be acknowledged too. That were less than.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
so TBD, but that's the idea.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. We're just trying to make it manageable. And if we need to get the cost down even more, then we would replace this metal work with layered acrylic paint on paint, or glass on paint on glass. We would just do it that way. But I'd like to try to keep the metal work.
And I think just anything that allows us to have the most possible growth.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could put leaves on this. We could put the leaves there, but there's no name with them, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then we could put plaques on the wall for people who donated less than the 5. And then the people who donate enough would get their name by the leaf. That's it, Work in progress, but that's the one thing I was asking about. Okay. The next one.
The names next to the leaves, those names just look big. You know,
Okay.
the little thing
I
where,
understand what you're saying,
yeah,
but that's just somebody doing it on their computer.
okay,
We
oh,
have-
got
we
it,
would-
okay,
we would
got
work
it,
on it.
okay, got it. All right.
Okay. All righty, the friends want to sign
Mhm.
because they say people can't see this, so
Right.
we're gonna put a blade sign there, like coffee and veggies and the mix.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay,
so it's going up there fairly high so people don't hit their head on it. We're gonna put a stop sign, right? I gotta go to the zoning, and ask Sean about this, but we wanna put a stop sign right here. I
Yeah.
think we own this area.
I
just wanna
have
make
to-
sure.
I'm stopping by on Monday
Ask them
to,
about that. Can we
For
put
the-
we wanna put a sign there, is that okay?
For the
Otherwise. we'd
but
have
is
to
it a
go all the way
regular
back
stop
here.
sign?
Yeah.
Then why wouldn't the county put one there for us? No, I think the county should if we ask.
But is it county, well, I could ask the county to do it, but I can get it cheaper through Image 360 and they're MDOT approved.
Oh,
And
okay,
so-
all right. See, I didn't know that.
They have equipment.
So the
to put
county
this
would
in.
the county would charge us as well.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well,
Oh, yeah,
if
I
they're
can do a
MDOT
lot of
approved,
things.
then yeah,
I talked to a really nice guy on the phone who does signs for the counties. but
okay.
Joe's prices were like half.
Oh, then that's what we're gonna do.
So,
do you want me to talk to Sean? I'm gonna go over there on Monday to
would you
start
just
the
ask him,
permit for the next, I already filled out the permit. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
over there and talk to him about it.
just ask him if that area is ours, for us to do what we want, or if they have any kind of requirements we have to do.
And make
I am
sure,
assuming an agricultural area can have.
maybe.
We'll need to
If I
consider
have to go to
that.
another zoning meeting, I will, zoning variance. But those cows, can't just cross the road on their own, no. They should
Cattle
stop and
crossing.
look both ways first. So we have 4 nameplates we need for people. They have to be ADA compliant with the braille, which makes them around $200 to $300 a piece. And then I have 4 of them, plus another room that we're redoing the numbering on. That will help bring the price down, rather than
Okay.
just doing the one. So we're just gonna do them all. It's April's, Amy's, Kim's, and Emily,
Okay,
okay? And then they'll all have movable name tags, but they won't be on paper with the match signs. Okay.
good.
Yeah, because Emily's getting married next year, so.
Is she?
Gotta have to be able to be changed.
So this is the idea for the
Did we-
evaluation.
oh, hold on, we skipped one.
We're wondering if we could maybe put a sign or something here so people won't keep running over the corner.
Please,
I've done it enough times.
oh my
myself.
gosh.
I mean, we could put a tree, we could do whatever.
Or a watermelon.
Well, and Nate was even looking into maybe some rocks or something,
Not a rock.
We'll just rock.
not a rock, like those small rocks.
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
think this
Well,
would
it's
be
just,
something-
then you're just gonna go over the rocks. I go over that thing all the
And it
I
should
go
be
time.
over my own
something
rocks at
big.
home.
That curb
Yeah.
is terrible.
So, yeah.
You want to see the
Maybe.
little tire marks?
Oh, I
When
know
they
that.
paint the parking lot, maybe if they painted. the
Every
curb.
single time I wanna park on this side, I hit that thing,
Yeah,
every time.
yeah.
It's out too far.
Which,
It was not, it's.
Where
it's
is this?
out-
It says we come
As you
in,
come, like
As
the
you come in,
electronic
if you wanna
sign is
go to
right
the
here.
right,
and then that's, you come in and you turn.
and if you wanna turn to
you
the
go
right,
boom, boom.
that curb is out further than it should be, is the problem. That is why people hit it. Because,
So, well, it was either hit the curb or hit a car. I remember this conversation,
Got it.
that it had to be at least as long as the parking spot,
mhm,
because they were worried people would come in, especially big trucks, because we had some
okay,
coming in at the time.
well,
That
it's
they would just
terrible.
cream a car.
People
No.
hit it all the time.
Yeah, so think about for the next meeting, what you.
I would recommend a tree rather than a rock.
I say we should put one of those.
Oh, we could.
Uh-huh.
That's, welcome to the White Lake Library.
Okay,
so
Or at the very least, yeah,
Yeah. could
so
be
is it
some issue.
painting? Could we do?
That's what I was thinking.
That too, maybe
If
it
that
needs
got painted when they.
the
striped the
yellow.
lot.
Ah,
It might
that would
help,
help.
but I hit it almost every night when I come into the parking lot.
But that's because you don't see it,
Yeah.
because
You
the color
don't
is the
see it.
same.
Wow.
But you know what, I think Karen's got a great idea, maybe we could,
Searchlight there. to
See how that works.
could we paint that, could that be painted yellow?
I
When
don't
they
see why
strike the- when they
not.
At least get it started for something.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, so that's just something
Okay,
that as Joe and I were walking around the building, it's like,
Maybe,
what do we do here?
Maybe I ask them when they're stripping the parking lot.
That's what I
that's
meant,
what, that's
yeah.
what
Yeah.
Karen said, right, is that.
They should be
is
willing
that
to
yellow.
do that. when
And
they
then
strike.
Joe's company's the one that did the sign here, they said we have got to get an area around here that's like mulch.
Okay,
Because if they
right.
mow in here and a stone kicks up,
yes,
that would be a
Yes.
$20,000 fix.
yes,
Mm.
and that is exactly what's happened at, one of our local schools.
Okay, well, that's, we want to keep that from happening,
Mhm.
luckily it hasn't happened yet, but we just need to get, I don't know if that's something Nick can do, or if you need a landscape company to do it.
We
but-
can just buy a couple bags of mulch.
And I
think.
would just say, he could
Well,
kind of
it's gotta
just
be-
spade it, get
Yeah, he
the
can
grass
just-
out,
yeah.
and then, okay.
I'll see.
So
Round up.
anyway,
Or we'll have our volunteers do.
so anyway, we need to address that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Okay.
that professional.
Can
edging
you
like
forward
the
me this email so I have? to- so
Yeah, I
can-
just got it last night, and I didn't even see it till today.
rest. Okay,
So, and then we have a lot of horizontal signs, but we don't have very many vertical signs to do like a listing of programs or whatever, so they're gonna make some signs. And I had already bought them before COVID and had them sent over, so they're trying to find them. So, and if they can't find them, they're gonna buy another 10.
okay,
So we're gonna do 6 in brown and 4 in turquoise for you, okay? Here's the clock. So this clock is illuminated. And it runs off a perpetual battery and like sinks into whatever the thing is that
Mhm.
does.
The atomic clock.
it's on
Something
the
like
clock,
that.
right?
And so we're never gonna have to set it, we're never gonna have to
Oh,
worry
wait,
about
wait, it runs, so it's atomic and it runs on,
some kind of battery, some kind of lithium battery. So maybe at some point we have to replace the battery, but we don't have to plug it in anywhere or any of that.
right? I have one
And
like
there
that
are-
at my house.
I
And,
would just
and
say.
about once every 3 years, I do have to change the battery. And it,
There's like a dozen fonts to pick from. I wouldn't do this because I hate reading this clock.
Yeah.
well, those are numbers, but yeah.
Yeah, so. would
yeah, I think
probably-
I think you're right. It needs to be numbers, because
Yeah.
little kids,
Yeah.
they need to learn
So
how to
this
read
is
an
like-
analog clock and,
This in and by itself is about like $3,800 to $4,400, depending what you do. And this
Wow.
display here, it's like an aluminum grid, I'm gonna call it, but it's actually more in the shape of this. But these things can be changed if, for some reason, everybody hated Judy Garland, or she became a lightning rod for the community, you could change her out. But they're just people reading books. If there's anybody in particular you'd like, I'll see if we can find a picture of them reading a book, but there's thousands of them out there.
okay, it's really cool.
And I thought it was nice to have Martin Luther King, you know, being a local person. We did have Rosa Parks on here at one point, but she got replaced by this person here who is some kind of advocate in Afghanistan.
Mhm.
Right.
So anyway, you know, we could give you a list of 20, and you could say, hey, pick these 8, you know, kind of thing.
It might be something also too that, if we have staff take a look at the design
Yeah,
and
that'd
see,
be great.
what's their input for that,
Uh-huh.
for that area.
and these are all like sepia tones to blend in with the lots.
Okay,
So I was thinking at one point it'd be nice to have like a raffle or something. And we could have a local person, whoever wins the raffle can be the person reading and use it as a fundraiser. It was just a fun. So and we could change it out every year. You know, kind of thing. Like if they ever went back to their silent auction that the French used to do.
they're talking about it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was just like, you know, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, that would. be
they're gonna
good.
do a tea.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the team, 3
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, they are gonna do the tea next year. They were talking about an auction again.
I just thought that might be kind of cool.
Mhm.
You know, a way to
I think
raise
my
money.
tail wagging tutor dog would look great up there.
We could do that, you know, we just need to decide what we want to do.
Mhm.
Okay. So anyway, that I would like to do this year, this fall, or first quarter next year, depending on the budget. I think it would be a nice addition to the library. And we have a really nice call too.
It's really.
I think at the very least you could look into, I don't know, the clock might be, maybe the clock's more doable.
Well, the clock by itself is kind of. So it's a big white space on top of the,
Does it have to have that white background?
yes,
Okay,
that's how the clock's made.
okay.
Yeah, it's like these have just a. They're hard to read.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Is the font gonna be black? Is it gonna be black on white?
That's what is on the website. I can find out if there's customizations
Okay.
and how much that costs.
Yeah.
But there were certain ones you could pick from the website.
Okay, because it'd be nice to have the logo in color, for instance.
Right.
Above there, yeah, I can find out if that's doable.
Okay.
I don't.
Did he, is this the only idea that Joe presented?
To us, or
Yeah.
altogether.
Or did he come up with anything else for that mantle area?
It all started with Joe, we need a clock. Can you make us a clock? Or if we had a clock, can you help us find a face for it? That's how it started. And he gave us pictures of just that on the mantle. Or at least he gave me. And then he goes, hey, what do you think about this? So that's just one idea. We could do whatever we wanted. If we wanted to make them a bunch of leaves or something.
Well, and you read my mind, because I'm wondering if, you know, bringing in nature from outside, or I'd like to, I'm just throwing this out here. I wonder if we could, if he can develop something that is more naturey.
I can ask him
I'm
about
just
that.
wondering.
The reason I like this is because that mixed area is where that happens, or can happen. That's why I like it. But I can ask him about what he would do.
And it could be the best option.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
he likes to. do
And he
stuff
does
like
like to
that,
go
too.
around
So
to
I'm sure he would say, oh, yeah, I'll do that.
Well, because at one sign, he was bringing up the donor plaque that he had mentioned, and I said, why can't you do something maybe of like a big glass leaf or a series of glass leaves to showcase the names of the people that worked so hard to bring this building? And he was like, yeah, so, and got all excited about it.
Yeah.
Great enthusiasm.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing, like the donor tree,
Yes.
Yeah, and then keeping it,
have on the
Yeah.
fireplace.
oh,
It-
Killing two birds with one stone.
well, not too much, yeah, but it would seem like that would be a more visible space. It wouldn't. Visibility.
It's not a very big space, if you go look at it.
Yeah.
It's only about this tall,
Hmm,
unless
okay.
you decide to go all the way up the stack.
Well, that's what, you have the
It's all
opportunity.
glass. It bends and it's all glass on top. There's not a very big space.
Yeah.
We're just gonna get some signs up here to show any programming that might be out on the patios. And then this right here is the thing I was talking about. It just has an imprinted arrow. And we're gonna like write pull with an arrow. And we're looking to see if there's any kind of international icon. A pull, you know. but
Okay.
So far, no. But we were gonna.
Yeah, yeah, I can attest that was not intuitively obvious
I
to,
know, it never is, I always do this, and like, we don't want, fourth graders who know how to read. To know, hey, you wanna get out, pull it here, so we're trying to find a way to communicate that that's what you have to do. So, and let's see, other signs that aren't in there. Emergency exit signs, you talked about those,
Yes.
they're gonna put a bid in on that. And then skateboarding, donations, everybody, I think I got it all.
Great.
Oh, volume generating signs. As long, did you?
We just refilled it out tonight. I'm going on Monday.
Okay, alrighty, and then MDOT, because it's on M59, MDOT's going to mark where to put the signs. And then we'll do those signs when we do the stop sign, they bring their equipment up once and insert all of those.
Okay,
And like I said, they're MDOT approved, so they know it has to be green, they know what the icon is, it's a very specific sign that it has to be. We can't write White Lake on it or anything.
Yeah.
this has to say library.
And
It
it's
does,
gonna be, you know, where
yeah.
Dr. LaVarcia, Dennis is, that's where the first sign was,
Mhm.
for people going westbound, and then the other sign is just before where the this farm stand is there, it's just before that.
The Vargo's one,
going in.
the one right out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they have to be something like 100 feet or 200 feet from the actual intersection.
okay.
And then we're not gonna pursue the ones on Tiger Island and Elizabeth Lake until the
That's
U-turn's done.
Okay.
But
Great.
the guy from the county said he could tell us.
It's great.
Okay, so that's an update on signs.
Awesome.
Thank you.
A lot.
Thank you for staying and listening.
Do you want me to forward that to April and then send out?
Oh, yeah, if you've got it, if you could, yeah, thank you.
I'll wait till we're done with me.
Okay, so next time I should have costs.
Okay,
Wonderful. Yeah, I just want, so
I
I
like
just
it.
wanted to know, do we feel we have money in the budget to move forward with any of the larger installations? Or I'm not sure what's left. I didn't even bother to look.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I don't know how much was budgeted for that original.
No, I've used all the money that was budgeted originally. Yeah, that's
So we're
fine.
looking for, so,
Something around $30,000 if we do both.
okay,
And if we don't do both, at least I would like to get the tree taken care. I mean, we could do just the clock and then maybe in the future we add other art around it. That's one
Right.
option. You know, I'd like to make sure we get something out there for the donors because the people
Sure.
who gave to the original building, their acknowledgement has sat in a box for 2 years.
yeah,
3
I
years.
think that acknowledgement is
Yeah.
important.
So, oh, the other thing that I didn't have a picture of is we want to do some kind of dedication sign for the building itself. And you see that in a lot of public buildings, you know, this library was built new and this is who was on the building committee and this is who was the director at the time and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I have an example that's very wordy. I don't think we need all of that on there that they have, but I'd like to do something.
Okay,
And the idea was we would put it on the wall over here as you walk into the gathering room area, you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about? Right
exactly,
there,
yeah,
as opposed to like where we were thinking about putting lockers. If we're still gonna pursue that, I wouldn't put it there because we just have to move it. And if we do lockers, we could do really cool decals. You know, they can print anything on vinyl.
right,
So we could do anything we want. We could put leaves on them, we could just do color coding. But if we do move forward with lockers, that's an option.
Where were you thinking of lockers?
You know where that little
originally?
step is in the wall where you put the bench?
Yes.
We were talking about putting lockers above that.
Oh,
And there's a network port there for that.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
So we got that far.
that was before we thought about a drive-up window.
Yeah.
So it's for after-hours access, is what
Yeah,
what it's for.
Fine.
Like putting a code on the door that you get a code to get in to get to the locker.
We had it all that.
okay.
Or anything that technology brings.
So we
in
have to
our
look
path.
at if we've got that in the budget for this year.
Any of that stuff. And if we don't, to budget it, make a
For
note
next
to budget it next year, because we got a budget meeting in a month.
Gosh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
We have an initial budget meeting in September and then a
Yeah.
final budget meeting in October.
Is it that?
Or is it October?
October and November,
Okay.
so we got the month.
We have a month.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I'm getting there.
Okay, all right,
So if you have any ideas of where you think we need a sign, let me know. If you've noticed anything like that. Anything else, any other questions? I can look through my case of old stuff and see that. But thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jim.
You're welcome. That takes a lot of time.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
So we are at that point of the meeting. Is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about?
I'd like to talk about adjourning the meeting.
Okay, well, Chair would definitely entertain a motion.
I motion that we adjourn the August 24th, 2022 Board of Trustees library meeting.
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
And then I had two people seconding.
Jake
I'll-
did it.
I'll-
Thank
Jake
you.
was, I think Jake was,
Jake will take it.
yeah,
Okay.
there was a photo finish.
There's a lot today.
All in favor?
Ah.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 10:11.